I now call this special meeting of the Board of Education to order at 5:41 p.m. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Ms. Chavez? Ms. McCall?
Present.
Ms. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Ms. Haley?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 7 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll now take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each board meeting, it is important to remember that the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in an equitable first-class education for a changing world. We are now on the closed session consent agenda, including the HR report, the appointment of Ronald Sandoval as 12-month Director of Bilingual Services assigned to the Administration Building, appointment of Keelan Wright as 10-month high school dean assigned to Guilford, appointment of Janet Schurseth as 10-month assistant principal assigned to Auburn High School, appointment of Jessica Watkins as 10-month assistant principal assigned to Kennedy Middle School, and appointment of Dylan Bain as 10-month high school dean assigned to East High School. May I have a motion and a second to approve the closed session consent items?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Are there any closed session consent items that board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes.
Ms. McCall?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. There are no speakers for this special board meeting. I'll now take a motion and a second to adjourn when we'll reconvene as in the committee of the whole.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. We're adjourned at 5:49, I believe. 5:43, better. I'm going to start it early. All right, I now call this meeting of the Committee of the Whole to order at 5:44 p.m. Would you please call the roll?
Ms. Pearson?
Present.
Ms. Chavez?
Here.
Ms. McCall?
Present.
Ms. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Carpenter?
Here.
Ms. Haley?
Here.
Ms. Stanford?
Here.
With 7 present, we have a quorum.
Thank you. We just recited the Pledge of Allegiance and shared the district's mission statement. We are now on the regular portion of the meeting. First on the agenda is to a meeting minutes from July 1st, 2025. Are there any changes, corrections, or additions to the meeting minutes? If not, they will be accepted as submitted. Thank you. As most are aware, the district will soon begin its search for a new superintendent. The governance committee will present first tonight to share information regarding that search. And I'll turn the floor over to Dr. Joseph Porto with BWP and Associates to discuss the superintendent search. Dr. Porto, thank you.
So this is our first time back since we presented, and oh, it's going to be hard because this is going to be a discussion, but we'll do our best. Sure. Maybe guys with
Just a second, and we'll see if we can figure out a way to have a better conversation. Just a second, please.
Okay. This is our first chance to chat with you since we presented, and first thing we wanted to say was thanks again for selecting us. We are just thrilled to be here and excited about this search. It's been a while, so real quickly we'll introduce ourselves and then let's jump right into this. We're very respectful of your time. I'm Joe Porto, former superintendent and a partner in BWP, and I'm here with...
My name is Steve Griesbach. I'm also a partner with BWP and a retired superintendent in Illinois.
I'm Johnny Thomas, sitting superintendent. I am associate with BWP.
Thank you. Actually, would you mind, or if you want to sit over here, then we could have a better conversation.
That
suggested.
just feels better,
Yeah.
Paul. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Don't need to push you out, muscle you out of here. That's okay. You okay? Sorry about that. Displacing you all. You're not going to do this, are you? You can stay.
Oh, no, I'll move to the end. Killing me.
How's this? Is that on?
Microphone,
Try to press.
that's that button.
How's that? Okay, good.
That recorder stays up, just record. And then here, you can still use this. This will just record. And just hit that, and this, just ignore it. And I'll take my, is this work? Okay, very good.
So tonight we're here to do a process that's actually going to serve three purposes. In one way, we're going to be reviewing the process again for you. It was a while since we presented, and I'm sure you want a little bit of a refresher of what the process is all about. Then we're going to try to tighten up and clean up the calendar so you know exactly where and when and all of those important things. And then the third thing we're going to do is make some decisions together, because if you remember, the process is flexible, and individualizing it for your community and your needs is something that we want to do. So this is not a presentation. This is a discussion, and we want to make some decisions together with you all. So with that said, I always like to have an agenda that has one thing done already. So August 5th is today, and we're here to have the planning meeting. One of the first things we want to do, and it'll be within the time frame of August 11th to the 16th, we would like to have your individual interviews with us. The interviews of the board are part of a three-pronged process that we use to create the leadership profile that will guide this process. If you remember from the presentation, one bit of information is individual interviews with each board member. I'm going to talk in a minute about the survey, which is the second source of information, and then the community engagement day is the third source of information. All of those get put together to create the leadership profile. All three of those sources have one thing in common, and that's what we focus on. So whether we're talking to each of you, whether you're completing the survey, or whether you come to a focus group, we're going to be focusing on three main questions. We're going to ask you what you think are the strengths of your district as you stand right now, the things you're proud of, you want to see continue. Then we'll ask you for what you see are upcoming challenges, things that you know the new superintendent is going to have to deal with, or things that you think are open for growth. Then the third thing we're going to ask you is, what are the characteristics that you seek in the effective leader for this district? And we'll go through those kinds of comments. It's important to let you know what this part of the process is not. This part of the process is not an audit of your district. It's not a big formal way to figure out where you're at and where you need to go. It's not a strategic plan. But we do need to know what you view as your strengths, areas of concern, and traits and characteristics so that we can find the right leader for you. It always circles back to finding the right leader for you. So we'd like to launch this with interviews of all of you. And this is always a little bit complicated to schedule. So we're going to try something that I think will work as smoothly as we possibly can, because we want to match your schedules with ours. So what we were wondering is if each of you could, you don't have to do this tonight, but maybe tomorrow, if you could look at your own personal calendars and find 4 dates and times within the 11th through the 16th that you can share a half hour of your time. And then, Paul, what would be the best, who should they then communicate that with to then get to us?
Ms. Fromm, would that be all right if we did that through you?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, the time frame could be 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We'd be available. Give your 4 best times. Send them over. If you can do this by tomorrow, it would be really helpful. And then you could send them to us, the entire list, when you hear back from all 7. And then we'll look and we'll get back to you and let you know Steve's going to be calling Paul on this date. Does that work for you guys? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to give that a try. Okay, next, we want to get cracking on recruitment. And in fact, we would like to post your opening tomorrow, if we possibly can. So there's a couple of things we want to share with you. We are going to hopefully start tomorrow, and then probably have a deadline of November 1st. A nice chunk of time to bring in as many candidates as we can. We need to know tonight how broad of a net, how wide of a net you want us to cast. If you want this to be a national search, then we need to know that, and we will recommend some advertising in the national realm. Some districts don't want us to go national, and they want us to just recruit in Illinois, and that takes a different approach. So this is my first question for you all. Were you thinking about this being a national search?
Yes.
I think we were.
Good. We thought so, but we thought we better ask. Well, there's a couple of things that are free for us to advertise on your behalf. Our own website, which is actually one of our best recruitment tools because people from all over the country know to look at our website and look at our openings. So that we do, no charge, of course. We have a membership with the Illinois Association of School Administrators. You probably do too. And when you have a membership, it's free to post with them. So that covers all the Illinois people between the BWP website and IASA, and also IASB, the School Board Association. So with your okay, we're going to just go right ahead and post here locally using those sources. What we'd like to know tonight is if you'd like us to post in the national journals and such, and here are your choices. The National Superintendent Membership Organization is AASA, and so they have a job bank, and that is about $650 to get, what'd you say, Steve, about 60 days. We like to bring you a diverse slate, so we also like to advertise in the National Alliance of Black School Educators, and they'll do 60 days for about $500. And then there's the Association of Latino Administrators and Superintendents, and theirs was a little less time, I think. 400 for 60 days. So you add all that together, it's about $1,600. This would be additional costs covered by the board, and we don't want to make presumptions about how you want us to proceed. So that would be our recommendation. It would add about $1,600 to your costs.
Are there any national ways to advertise that don't cost $1,600? I mean, is that the only way we're going to get a national search?
No, there actually are some other ways of doing it. With BWP, you also are advertising, and it's picked up by K-12 JobSpot, and that'll pick up some people look at and monitor that as well. And then the job banks for the states often filter into other states, so you get some coverage there. You know, we look at it and we think that you cast the net as broad as you can, and you don't want to miss somebody because they didn't look at our website or they didn't look at something else. And so we think it's for the cost in terms of what you're looking for and the cost of the next superintendent, it's pretty minor.
I forgot another important one that's absolutely free and has a national reach, and we're members of LinkedIn, and we will put it up on LinkedIn. We've actually, over the past 2 years, been getting quite a lot of attention using that method. Are we okay with moving forward with those? Because if so, we'll do it all at once. But
Ms. Pearson.
Yes, I just have clarity. So we do have a membership with Illinois Association School Board, which also gave us access to the national search for superintendent. So what exactly are you referring to when you say national, and why is it an additional cost if we automatically have it with IASB with our membership?
It actually wouldn't be an additional cost.
No. I understand exactly. But I know that there is no cost for Illinois Association School Board.
right.
Okay, I clearly understand that. But you also indicated that there was an additional cost for the national search. That's why
That's
Ms. Stanford.
AASA. That's different than the National School Board Association. AASA is the National Superintendent's Organization, where the actual candidates, that's their journal. where
Okay.
most of the candidates will come from.
Okay, so the National School Board Association,
I think they'll post that for free as part of your membership.
okay, so the national search does not cover nationally. You have to go through other organizations. I'm trying to understand what
Yeah.
exactly will.
Right. I think what we're trying to do is pretty similar to what you're asking. We want to make sure that we have your job posting in the hands of the individuals that are going to be seeking the position. A lot of superintendents are not going to look to the National School Board's site to look for employment. They're going to go to their professional site, which is the American Association of School Administrators, which is AASA. They charge a fee to put onto their site.
Okay.
Yes. So the 3 national associations have an extra fee. That would be the $1,600 we're talking about. And that would be the National AASA and then the Black Educators and Latino Educator organizations.
Okay, so when you all initially spoke with us, there was another woman with you.
She's still on our team. She's a working superintendent, and she had a school board meeting tonight.
I understand. So it seemed like she made a statement that this would be like inclusive with our contract with you. So maybe perhaps I misunderstood that, but something sounds different today than it did originally.
Well, I wrote the proposal, and there was a chart of costs and a chart of anticipated expenses, and advertising and recruitment was on that chart with these numbers.
Thank you.
And as you think about these costs, the invoices come to us and we pass those along. We pay those, but we don't mark them up or anything. So if you actually can get it posted somewhere for free, great. So we're happy to use your resources as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, Ms. Haley.
So if we're using these, we can pick just one if we wanted to, correct?
1 or 2 or none, it's up to you.
All right, thank
What time frame would you recommend posting in those?
Well, we would like to get it up in our website as soon as possible. I won't promise tomorrow because we're posting a lot of things. Other searches have come up, but within the next couple of days, you should see it on ours. It usually takes about a week or 2 to kick in when you order the other 3 that would have the cost. So we would like to get the order in for those other 3 and then anticipate that those would be up and running within a week, maybe 2.
Okay, thank you. I was just thinking about the 60 days and the deadline being November 1st, but I guess that's only about 80 days away, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Anything else on those?
Ms. McCall has a question, I think.
Yes, thank you for answering all of our questions. So
Sure.
based on your expert observation opinion, for the 3 other sites or that we're discussing about posting on, when you are dealing with the ones that you have your site and the site that's free through the Illinois, what percentage do you think we have a healthy percentage of applicants coming that would only go to those sites? So like for the National Alliance of Black Educators, do you feel that you have enough Black educators applying to your free postings? You get what I'm saying? So
I
like,
do.
because this is your thing.
That's a great question. It's just, we don't have that data. When they apply, they just apply. And we don't do an in-depth, where did you get your information from? But that's a really good, I mean, that's good information.
So I'll charge you for that later. Serious.
I guess in the long run, and I'm not trying to be frivolous about this at all, but in the long run, $1,600 is a pretty good investment. It's really good bang for the buck as far as
Yeah, I'm just curious. No, I was just curious as to see, like, what is the, what is the meat of these? Are you able to organically attract applicants from these other paid sites that you post on? So that's just, the basis of my question, especially since this is, all you do, like, is superintendent searches and things. So, that was just my reason for asking that question.
Wish I had the specific answer for you. All right.
Ms. Pearson?
So there's no data on how many hits these other organizations or sites have?
No, all of our data that we could share would be anecdotal. And an anecdotal piece I'll share with you is it does appear that the #1 site of candidates in all of our searches is our own BWP website. When candidates are out on the market, they look at us and they look at the other 2 big national firms and they follow us.
I guess my thought is we hired you to lead the search, and if you're recommending that we engage these other 3 paid advertisement, and you're not marking it up or getting anything
We don't
out
get
of it,
any. We don't
then
get
I think that it would make sense for us to
benefit.
follow your recommendations.
Thank you. Is that okay with everybody? All right.
Well, I just kind of assume that if you have these national search associations, like the AASA, that as a superintendent, and I will take your professional opinion here, as a superintendent, you would automatically post your interest in superintendent positions on that site. If you're a person of color, you'd also post there too, but definitely on that one national, the AASA, right?
I think so.
So that was why I was asking the initial question, should we just go with 1 or all 3?
Johnny?
The only thing I would add is that there is a lot of synergy for African American superintendents to be heavily involved with NAPSI, and there is even greater sense for those who are a part of the Latino superintendent organization. So it really depends on how diverse you want your pool to be, and if you're looking for Latino and African American applicants, it would make sense that you are in spaces that they are in so that they see your posting and you generate interest.
Okay.
Well
so again, and I was just making the point that if I was looking for a superintendent position, I would probably be a part of these organizations, but I'd definitely be a part of the all-inclusive association, and I would be searching there as well as the other sites.
That's correct, but there could be a dynamic leader who hasn't risen to the level of superintendency but has all the skills that you may want to have a conversation with, and they necessarily wouldn't be a part of the national superintendent's piece. They would be a part of the black school educators or the Latino educators piece.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we'll move on.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, if we got a couple more.
This
Yeah,
is a
that one.
conversation. You don't have to apologize.
So I think it would be in our best interest, and I don't know if we, as a board, had this conversation, but as we make our reach broad, it just makes sense because we don't want to be blinded by a resume that looks really good and miss that one who is not a sitting superintendent that have all those qualifications and can literally take our district to the next dimension.
Agree.
So as President Carpenter said, we hired you to do the search. And so we want to make sure that we give candidates opportunity, whether they're sitting superintendent or otherwise. Thank you.
Thanks. Everybody good? Go ahead.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
The next thing we'd like to do right here and now, because as I said, we would like to get the post rolling as soon as we can. So Steve came around and passed out our first draft here of the vacancy notice. And we've really put a lot of research into it, tried to highlight that you're a district on the rise, that the city's on the rise, and that this is a really great place to come. We realize, before you start jumping into it, we realize that we left out something really important, and that's the demographic breakdown of your district and emphasis on it being a very diverse community. We have that written, it just didn't make it into this, and then I printed it off before we discovered it. So know that that will be in here when it gets down to just talking about the community and the district. But could you look it over and let us know if we hit the mark on this, if you have any suggestions to make it stronger or anything that you're concerned about?
Ms. McCall?
So you said that it was omitted and you're going to put it in there. Is there a way that we can know, can we review what you're going to add in there, or do you have something ready now stating about the demographics that you would like to add to this?
Steve?
The information we have would come from your school report card, and that would talk about the percentage students that are of color, African American, Latino, white, other. It would also talk, and we could go into the number of students that receive special services. Those are the typical things that we put in. You're about 15% special education students. You're about almost 30, a little in the 30s, low 30s for both Black and Hispanic or Latin students, and you're about 23% Caucasian. And then the rest is filled in with mixed with Asians and two or more races. So that would be kind of the thing that we would put in there.
It would be strictly factual, not commenting beyond that.
And that will go in the section under the district, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Ms. Bennett?
In the section for where Rockford promises, there are other universities besides Northern Illinois. So we have, and I don't know if it's appropriate or not, but we have multiple different partnerships and pathways, like with Rockford University, for example. We have an urban ed program. We have all kinds of grow your own programs that I think are really unique to help address staffing, which is beneficial to a superintendent. And then also for the second bullet point, you can find it on our website, but we have multiple other special programs, like a public Montessori program, a CAPA performing arts. Same thing with athletics, if that's a possibility to highlight. We have created over the past few years many different elementary, middle school, high school athletic teams that didn't exist before. Just really unique ways for kids to find belonging in lots of different ways inside public school that I think are unique to other districts too. If that
Your
could be added.
superintendent shared a document with us.
Oh, okay.
That was really helpful. And we just didn't know if we should put it all in there or not. So it was really hard. I'm hearing you say we could punch this up a little bit more, and we will.
It seems rather scarce.
We'd be happy to.
It seems rather scarce. I don't feel really confident in it. It needs more.
Okay.
So, with the schools, you left out Rock Valley College. We want to make sure that if we're going to highlight one,
I know
we're gonna highlight
Rockford
them all.
University is part of that.
And Rock Valley College.
And Rock Valley
and
College.
Also, I just don't like, if you're gonna highlight some programs, you don't want to miss any out. That's the one that Ms. Bennett mentioned, as well as we have a gifted education program and all that. So just want to make sure that we're trying to capture it all. And when she mentioned like the athletics, highlight that we pioneered that flag football in the whole state. you know, the girls' flag football, stuff like that. And they've went all the way to state and everything. The only one that's unique with the Chicago Bears type of thing. If you're going to highlight some good stuff like that. But, you know, those are just, you know, little tidbits that make the Rockford community stand out.
I'll tell you what, again, we got a document from Aaron that was really helpful. We pared it down to what we thought were the biggest attractions, but we're hearing loud and clear that we need to put more in there. So rather than try to highlight each one, we'll go back and read all of that and try to get as much of it in there as we can without making this too long.
And when you're some of that stuff right there that we were just mentioning can also overflow into how the community supports the district. So we want to make sure that we highlight, you know, the community as a whole, business community, you know, civil community, all how it's supported, like in the community, like beef that up, you know, connected, because there wouldn't be no Rockford Promise without the community, you know, advocating for stuff like that.
Got it.
Thanks. Ms. Stanford, you had your light on a minute ago first, I think.
Yeah, I just, I don't know how nitpicky you want us to be about this, but there's several places where you refer to us as Rockford School District 205, and we really are RPS. That's how people know us, Rockford Public Schools. I don't know how dumb that is, but.
I was going to say that. So
where it says RSD, that really should say RPS instead.
Great. Those are the kind of things that are really helpful.
Yeah,
We can fix that.
yes, right. It should say RPS high schools instead of. Our high school academy model has received exemplary status. That's probably something that should be mentioned.
Right, where it says college and career readiness with small learning communities.
Yeah.
Highlighting the academy model
The
would be the way
academy
to
model,
phrase that.
we're really the first to do that in our area. And the district has a comprehensive plan to update its facilities. That's a $30 million facility master plan that we're in the middle of. That doesn't do it justice, your little blurb there, I don't think. It's a much bigger deal than what that sounds like.
Do you have a marketing team?
That's it. We do have a marketing team.
No.
No, do you guys have, does BWP have a marketing team?
No.
No? Do you work with a marketing contractor or anything? No?
No.
Oh, Ms. Bennett? Oh, sorry.
Oh, are you done, Ms. Stanford? Okay. One other area, two other areas to add, wherever it makes sense. We have a large newcomer program, so we have about 130 different languages spoken, which is also very unique compared to, it's unique and very challenging given the additional needs the populations experience and the no additional funding sometimes we get. So we have to be very strategic to support those students and make sure the students and their families have what they need. And then I think also to add something about the tenure of our teachers. So Dr. Jarrett could provide exactly what it is, but there is a significant amount of our teachers that have 20+ years of experience, sometimes 2, 3, 4 master's degrees. So our teachers are very committed to our district, very dedicated to our district, and stay long-term for the district. And I think that's also just a really big strength that RPS has.
It's so neat to hear you talk with such excitement about your district. That's really cool. Steve was here taking really good notes, so we will make this revision, these revisions. What I'm wondering is how to make sure you're comfortable with the revisions before we publish this. So Paul, like Steve could make the revisions and I could send it to you?
Yes.
And you can then do whatever you would like to do, and we won't do anything till we hear back from you, as long as it's not too long.
Yeah, right, understood.
Does that sound okay?
That's fine. And maybe, Steve, can you send me your notes? I have a mental, or some memory of them, but if...
Okay. So we will make the revisions based on the input we just heard, which is basically punch up the positives. There's a lot more than we listed there. And then also, I like your connection to the community and the support that these things couldn't happen. I don't think we made that connection quite as powerful as we could. So Steve will do those. We'll send them to Paul. You can either give us your blessing, or if you want additional input from your colleagues, that's up to you.
Great, thanks. Ms. Haley?
Yeah, there's just one other thing here. Under next leader, that last sentence there is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
The current superintendent is relocating, will be leaving Rockford after 12 years stint as superintendent. So, okay.
I think if you can just remove the words, is relocating, that'd be great.
And stint, that seemed like a bid or something.
All right.
And Ms. Bennett?
Sorry, I just have one more thing to add. Any way that, in whatever section you can and however you can convey it, Dr. Jarrett, when we're talking about community and all the different programs, like Dr. Jarrett has managed a lot of relationships in our community for a very long time. So in our community, currently, people have a lot of anxiety and worry that they have built a relationship with him. He has lots of programs that he has been a part of, either their creation or sustaining programs. And so anyway, like the things we named are good things, but they also require maintenance and they require investment and commitment. And so any way in this that it can be discussed of just kind of, obviously that's the job of a superintendent, I understand that, but our community very much relies on the school district, and so do we with them. And so any way to just kind of convey the importance of relationships, I think would be really helpful.
Just to reiterate what Ms. Bennett said, I totally agree with that. So I think that's really huge for our district.
Got it.
The collaborative and community engagement.
Got it.
Ms. Pearson?
To the point of us hiring a search firm, I also believe that any candidate seeking this role will do their research on RPS 205 if they haven't already. The word went out very rapidly, so needless to say, the collaborative effort is one of the biggest components, specifically with other circumstances at hand. That piece is very crucial. So I'm not interested in telling, the search firm, how to do anything, but one thing I think is really important is what do the candidate already know about our district, and being able to identify those opportunities and willingness to come in, because the state report card speaks volumes, and individuals can read that in many different ways. So I think that, and while we have expectations of the information that we are making available for the candidates to know about us, we also, I would think that they would do their research and understand the expectations as well. I'm sure some of the candidates are viewing the board meeting as we speak.
The best candidates do their homework, and we probe that deeply in our screening activities. It's very important to us that the candidates did their homework.
Thank you.
Thanks. Onward, the week of September 22nd through October 2nd, we would like to have be the time that we open to your community the survey. The survey is a survey that is going to focus on those same 3 questions that I just covered with you, that your interviews will be about. The takes between 5 and 8 minutes to complete, so it's very easy. People will have access to it through your website. So we use a third-party person who does this survey for us. She will ask for your tech person who she could work with, and the 2 of them will get it up and running on the 22nd and down on the 2nd, and then she's able to give us almost instantly the results, which we will then put in the leadership report that we're going to come back and give you. We will need your help in advertising the heck out of this please, your teachers, parents, non-parents, we hope your high school kids will fill it out. If we get a good response, it always makes the data richer and more helpful to us. The survey is pretty standard. What most boards, it's your responsibility to know what's going out to your community. So we feel like we want you to see this before we send it out. So sorry, Paul, but once again, through you, I can send everybody a digital copy of the survey. And if there were any questions or concerns, it is able to be tweaked if there was anything, you know, that you wanted to add that you didn't see or take away that you see there. But most districts pretty much stick with it, and the data results are standard based off of it. So just something, though, we want you to feel comfortable with before that goes out. Paul, does that work for you as part of the process?
Yeah, that sounds good. So that would be around the beginning of September, or when would we?
I would like to send this to you as soon as I can,
Okay.
and then within 1 week, August 12th, if you could get back to me with any edits or concerns so that our person could have time to take care of that before the launch on September 22nd.
Okay, thanks.
So if you wouldn't mind, if you put that down when you receive that, take a look and get us any input on the 12th. Steve, did you want to add anything to that?
Just so you know, the survey is available both in English and in Spanish, and we have found that to be most effective. I know you have 130 different languages here. We've worked with schools with very, very diverse linguistic populations, and we've never found the survey to be effective for those isolated communities unless you do something else. And that usually requires your staff to go out and have meetings with community groups about the survey. And it just, what we found is that it has always has not been seen as their responsibility, or they don't know how to access it. And so if you can remove those barriers, it creates a more equitable environment for those small linguistic groups within your community to participate. If you would like to move in that direction, we would then need to work with your coordinators here about that.
Any questions on the survey before we move on?
So if we wanted to get other languages, we can talk to you about ways to do that. Is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Our person has this translated into what, at least, I know she's got at least 6. I had one district that we had 6 different ones going.
Yeah, we found that sometimes the best way to reach some small pockets, linguistic pockets, is to work with if you have liaisons within your district to those communities, to work with them and have a conversation. And then, they read the questions, people give their responses. The person then tallies them and gives that information to us. It is proven to be much more successful than putting it in a million different languages, and we don't get much of a response from those communities. But we do get more when you have someone personally involved in it here in the district, who they trust.
Okay, thank you. Do you know what platform the survey is?
SurveyMonkey.
Okay.
Okay? Okay to move on? All right.
Yes.
On September 30th and possibly October 1st, we're not sure yet if it's going to take 1 day or 2, and we also have to check with your internal cabinet members that those are good days. There isn't something big going on in the district that we should stay away from. But on our calendar, we've penciled in the 30th for sure, with a possible meeting of October 1st. And this is the day we'd like to come into your district and spend time talking to your folks in focus groups. Once again, it would be those same 3 questions. And what we would like to do is hit all of the key constituencies. So we would want to talk to your administrative team. We'd want to talk to your principals, assistant principals, and deans. We'd like to have groups of your teachers to speak to, your support staff, the district office support staff. Community leaders are sometimes something that boards want us to talk to, and parent leadership. And then, of course, we would like open forum where anyone could come in the community. So it's a really cool day that we put together. We need a liaison with the district that can help us with this, because this takes knowledge of the schedules, knowledge of when the kids get out of school, because we need to know where to meet, what place could accommodate. So this planning for the day in the district, we need a source who could really help us make all of those decisions. So that's one thing we're going to ask you to provide us with. The other thing we want to mention is we learned the hard way through COVID something positive, and that's when we also offer Zoom and virtual meetings, we sometimes are able to double the kind of participation that we get. While parents and teachers, might have their hands full up through and including dinner time, maybe if there was a virtual meeting they could just log on to at their convenience, they could catch that. So what we're going to end up doing with your help is to provide some on-site visits, because we do like talking to people. Those interactions are invaluable. And then we'd like to have some key virtual times, one for the community, one for the teachers at the very least.
Got a question.
Guys, before you do, did I leave anything out of that one?
Only that focus groups can be by invitation. So some groups will be by invitation and some will be open. And so by the end of the day, when you look at the engagement that the community has, everyone in the community would have at least 2 opportunities to participate and provide their feedback. One is the survey, and the second one would be one of those open meetings. And so that's a nice piece to share with your community, because we want to lower those barriers to participate, though you may have some groups that are by invitation only.
An example of by invitation only might be community leaders, where you reach out and invite the mayor or the police chief or whatever, or you might want to have a meeting of the PTA presidents, for instance, and talk to the PTA leadership. So that's an example of the invitation. Most of them is just, here's an opportunity to meet with the teachers, here's the location, that kind of thing. Come if you'd like.
All right. Ms. Stanford?
So tell me what a focus group is going to look like. What are you going to ask the people? What kind of feedback are you looking for from the focus groups?
We're asking the same 3 questions that we'll be asking you in your interviews.
Okay.
What are the strengths of the district? What are areas of concern and challenge? And what are the characteristics that you are looking for? We are very skilled in keeping it to those topics. Sometimes people with issues come to meetings and they think that that's a meeting to air their grievances, and we just always bring it back. We're here to find your next superintendent. This input helps us write the leadership profile. This is not an audit of how your district's doing. So that, I just wanted to assure you, that's how we do it.
Ms. Haley?
So with your focus groups, are you planning on doing September 30th through August and October 1st? Are you planning on doing the schools focus group and community focus group and community partners group in those 2 days?
We're going to try. The other thing that's important to know is we're a big firm, and when we do the day in the district, especially in a bigger district like yours, we'll probably bring extra colleagues with us. So we can have multiple things going on at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so September 30th and October 1st are a Tuesday and a Wednesday in the middle of the work week. So I guess my question is, will there be any opportunities where we can try to get the most participation by maybe having a weekend day or something, so we can gather the most, participation. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, the teacher will be teaching, all different types of September sports activities and things after school. So I'm just kind of, wondering if there's any other opportunities besides in the middle of the work week where we can have these focus groups and things like, after work hours. If we're trying to do the whole day, I feel like no matter how many associates you bring and what we're trying to have, meetings running concurrently, will we still be able to capture everybody that wants to participate, give them that opportunity? And I know you're saying, we have the opportunity to send surveys out as well, but, this is a population here, a community that likes to come out. Well, some people like to come out and try to interact with
We like
the
that
things.
too.
But would it be a different, offered at a different time, not, a Tuesday and a Wednesday in the middle of a work week?
We haven't had very good success with anything on a weekend. People have told us they'd much rather do that on a work week than to give up a work day than to give up a weekend, which to many people is family time.
Ms. Bennett?
Okay, if there was anything, okay, let me figure out how to ask my question. The items that you listed in this section, none of these have additional charges, correct?
No, there's no charges for
Okay.
this activity at all.
Okay, so I know we talked before about if there were specific, groups that we wanted to have or something that was an addition, there could potentially be additional charges, but what's being presented is nothing extra.
Great question. You can have whoever you want involved in this, and there's no extra charges. Community engagement is built into our costs.
Okay, great, thank you. So, and then regarding community leadership, that would be, we as a board would decide who, that we would decide, these specific, like elected officials, for example,
Right.
or lobbyists.
We
that
really
have.
need you to help us organize this day because we don't know your community like you do. We don't know who to ask, and we don't want to insult anybody. So I want to circle back to who could best help us organize this day, because we really want to make sure we get your preferences, and we don't want to miss anybody.
So my last question, then I'll stop talking. How best would that be, in your experience or in other boards that you've worked with, do we all send an email to somebody in the district saying these are the 6 people that we want to make sure, these 6 groups? How do we best, tally people or organize people or make our suggestions? I don't know if anybody else
You
has
don't have
ideas,
to do
but
the organizing, but if
I guess organize our message to you,
Okay.
sorry.
If you have some groups you'd like to see that aren't on this sheet, just shoot them over to Paul and he can send them to us. And we'll try to incorporate as many of that as we can.
Thank you.
Ms. Pearson?
Yeah, we have some really good points that was expressed, but I know that our business community is really kind of anxious. And I don't know that they would necessarily want to share that time with anyone else.
We can, I hear your point. I think, like Dr. Porter was saying, that there would be some that could be invitation only, and then we could have some open to anybody in the community.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that was not specific to focus groups.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was or not, but I think that,
So
I thought
it's-
that's the way I heard it, but.
Okay, so I think I know I'm speaking beyond focus groups, because what I know of focus groups is one thing, and the many business community concerns, I think, is worth. And I understand. I thought I understood from the beginning that we could have as many community type meetings as we desire, but it's been a little bit of a gap between when we decided to go with the search firm until tonight's meeting. But I don't know that 2 days, one, I'm not sure that 2 days is enough. And Ms. McCall bring a valid point, specifically with our district and some of the challenges that we're faced with. It's a 50-50, whether they come out on a weekend or a weekday, but we definitely want to make it conducive for individuals to be able to participate.
One couple of things that I'd like to clarify. We understand that it's important to speak and give an opportunity for any groups that you think are important to hear and listen to. But again, the focus of this exercise is not a district audit to create a new plan for your next superintendent. So if the business community has concerns, I'm not sure, we're not here to solve those concerns. We're here to find out what the best superintendent for you is going to look like. So I just don't want to set this up that these meetings have a different purpose than just beyond giving us the data we need to create the leadership profile. We don't want to advertise this as, you know, come and share your ways to solve all the problems of the district. It's really not what this is about.
Well, I wasn't referring to you all. We clearly understand that you don't have the capability of solving our issues. That is understood. What I am saying is our business community, just the feedback that I received, I don't think their intention is to come to tell you how to do your job or to discuss any problems. I think as business organizations, they know boundaries and respect that. I'm just saying, given some history of our district, and I think it's just worth them being able to specifically be a part to answer those, to respond to those top three questions.
Can I ask just a clarifying question? Are you asking us to set aside some time to meet with those business leaders to better understand what they're looking for in the next leader? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Then we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Haley?
So just to speak back to Ms. McCall's point about a Saturday or weekend, if you can't do that, I would just encourage maybe evening opportunities.
Definitely.
For working
Yes,
parents.
absolutely. We'll go into the evening. Mainly, we usually have an after dinner come out to a public forum, and at the same time, concurrently, we'll be running Zoom opportunities at the same time after dinner.
All right, great. Ms. Bennett?
Last thing to add just to that too, especially about our teachers teaching in the daytime, like contractually to be asking them to, step away from their responsibilities or any of the scheduling nightmare that might occur. So that way we can have the most participation of people that, have responsibilities from the time they get here.
The teachers, we don't set up any meeting during the day. The teacher times are always at the end of the school day.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So Paul, who would you like us to work with on this? And second thing, I want to reassure everybody, we just said 1 or 2 days. We're here to do what you want. And so if it takes, what we'd like to do is set out, give us somebody to work with. We'll plan as best as we can. We'll run it back by you to make sure we didn't miss anybody. If it takes 3 days, it takes 3 days. We're not going to cut it short to jam it into this. From our experiences, we've worked in other big cities. I worked in Pittsburgh. These two guys have worked in Minneapolis. And 2 days is probably going to do it for you. But if not, we'll do 3. Okay. Do you have a person in mind that would be good to work with who?
Yes. I think our communications department might be good at that. Mr. Jim Pearson is here, and
He's hiding his head back there. What was your name?
James Pearson.
James Pearson, okay. Can we call you? Okay, thanks.
And I guess all the board members, anybody that you have, or, any groups or people, feel free to let me know, and or Mr. Pearson.
We made it to October 7th. You guys are doing good. By the 7th, we would like to come, I believe this is one of their board meetings that's already on the calendar. We're trying very hard to not give you new meetings to attend. So that's the meeting. We would like to come and show you the results of the survey and share the results of the focus groups and give you a draft of the leadership profile so you can see the 8 to 10 bullet points that's going to guide us throughout the search. So that's how that whole thing wraps up after the surveys, the board interviews, and then these focus groups. We pull it all together and we'll present it on the 7th. Those were all the tough decisions. Johnny's going to take you now from November to December, and this is the fun part with the interviewing and everything. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, it depends what you think is fun. So now that the leadership profile is created, that whole process is designed to give us a lens of what is truly desired out of the next leader for your organization. It gives us an opportunity to create a rubric that we then will be judging those candidates that are coming across our site to make sure that we are having a conversation with them about Rockford Public Schools and not about anything we perceive, but what we've learned as a part of this initial work. So we want to make sure that that part is really, really tight. And if there are people that we need to talk to get a better understanding, I think as community leaders, you all have constituency groups that you work with. It's important to let us have conversations with them so that we have some of those details in the back of our minds. So when we close the application November 1st, we hope that you have 1 million applicants. We know it probably won't be 1 million, but it will be a significant number, more than what you would want to sit and spend hours and hours of time trying to comb through. This is where our expertise comes in. We begin to take that leadership profile and compare it to the applicants who have applied for the position. We use the rubric to gauge how close they are to what you're looking for so that we can hone in to make sure that we find 6 or 7 of the best people in the country to come and help be a partner with you moving forward. And so we will be interviewing those applicants, providing screenings, having conversations. We set up formal times to sit and talk with them. We get a sense of how they've led, what they led, how deeply they have led, and what specifically are their results as a leader to make sure that it matches your leadership profile. From there, once we narrow that large number of applicants down to 6 or 7 applicants, we begin on November 18th to want to schedule a time with you all to bring a slate of candidates to the board. One of the things that we want to make sure that we do and make sure that we have an understanding on is, as a part of that day, before you get the slate, we sit down and talk to you about what this next phase is going to look like. This is the part where you all are beginning to take over and take ownership of who you're going to select as your next team member or your next leader for the organization. And so we go over interviewing strategies. We go over how to use data to assess the candidates. How do you go about building consensus so that you're all on the same page as you move forward with this very, very important decision? And then we make sure that we train you on all the legal considerations that you have to make sure that we don't violate anything as we are moving these candidates forward. And so after that process is completed, we then will present to you the candidates who we think you should be considering as possible finalists for your search. On November 24th through the 25th is the date that we have scheduled for 2 days of interviews. Typically, it's either 3 or 3 on each day or 3 or 4. It's a good long day, and so we want to make sure that we're not overloading you. But those are the 2 dates that we have scheduled, and so we just want to make sure that if there's any conflict with those dates, we probably should be hearing about them now.
Can I?
Yes, Ms. Benham.
So we have November 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, the Illinois Association of School Board Conference. So then that would be like 6 days in a row to have things. So I don't know if there's any way that it could be, the timeline could even be shifted up slightly to address that, because it's a Thursday through a Sunday, and then this would be the Monday, Tuesday. I would just ask, I don't know if anybody else has feedback, but that's just an excessive amount of time off, and yeah.
The school is out that week, but we're not in school.
For Thanksgiving, so it's also a holiday.
These dates were just plugged in to start the discussion, so totally open for revising. Does anyone have a possible alternate date for the two?
Sorry, can I?
Yes.
Okay, from the November 4th to the 18th, because that's 2 weeks, do you need 2 weeks to be, because I'm assuming you picked that date because that's already a board meeting that we have, is that correct? Okay, so the only problem with doing that week is if people are going to the conference, Thursday night would be when people would leave on the 20th. So I necessarily don't have a, unless we did if we move second round back, so then the candidate slate is the first week, just no, that's too short. I'm not sure.
When, can you remind us, on November 18th, when you present the candidate slate to the board, is that, are you expecting us to interview all the people that you bring to us that day, or?
No,
we're
sharing with you the finalists that have floated to the top of our search.
Okay, and so we'll need to make a decision on that day, and unless we move that date back, which we can't really do without moving the applicant deadline back, then we would have to do it in the first week of December if we don't do it.
What if we just do, kind of push it back, do round 1 that first week of December and round 2 the next week?
So these are work days. Are we expected to be here all day on the 24th and all day on the 25th? Or is this evening? We all have jobs.
We probably should have mentioned that this is usually the evening
time.
Oh,
Yes.
then that changes everything.
Another thing, you might not like this, but other boards have chosen a Friday and a Saturday, and they'll do 2 on Friday night and then maybe 4 on Saturday and crank them out that way.
Well, if it's the evening, the 24th and the 25th, it's not good for you?
No Fridays or Saturdays for me.
No, she said,
I'm talking about the dates they have scheduled, but doing them in the evening. That doesn't work for you.
Yeah, I was just saying that we would be we'd have Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night. That's just a lot of excessive time to also be working and be away. To me, I would like to have it at a different time.
Okay.
What was that last suggestion you had, Dr. Porto? First week of December for the first round?
I want to make sure I have the dates correct. I'm assuming that the tri-conference, school board conference, starts on November 20th and goes through, right?
20.
Pardon
Yeah,
me?
so it starts on Friday morning.
Friday.
But we go Thursday night
Right,
to
right.
wake up, yep, for Friday, yep.
Right, and so the following week would be immediately after, the 24th and 25th would be after the conference? Okay. Just wanted to see how that worked for all of you.
Yeah, so if, sorry. If the suggestion of December 4th and 5th to be first round interviews, and then second round the next week, and then presented to board on the 16th, I feel that timeline could work. I don't know if that's too soon or what.
Not at
do you
all. We actually like when round two comes right after the next. So we could go the 4th and 5th, or any day you pick that, any 2 days you pick that week, and then do the week right after. You'll need 2 days for that as well. And then nothing changes as far as the getting it done for your December meeting, which is not an absolute line in the sand goal, but something that we would like to help you deliver.
So it looks like that would be the 11th and the 12th? Am I looking at that correctly?
Yes, I think so. And yeah, I appreciate the December 16th because I think we collectively as a board, that is our
We
goal
sense
to.
that,
Yeah,
yes.
thank you very much.
Wait, December 16th is right.
Is the meeting we wanted to have a candidate.
So I can't
Up for vote.
on a Friday night or Saturday.
Yeah. As you consider the dates for these interviews, these are your interviews. Your dates, they need to work for you. And we want you to be in the best frame of mind with the most time to make these important decisions. We don't want you to feel pressured or rushed. And so when you think about these dates, these are the ones you own, and the amount of collaboration is just what we would support in the background, that you're the ones actually meeting with the candidates and having those conversations.
How would
I have a-
3rd and 4th and 10th and 11th work?
That works for me.
I had another question. How many, like you're saying, candidates and stuff, like, is there a number that you're going to stop? Is there a number, like, what are you going to present? What have, in the past, what was the amount of candidates have you
Yeah, the
brought up?
normal range is 4 to 7, but 6 for some reason just turns out to be the most common that we would bring.
So it wouldn't
No
be,
more than
it wouldn't be
7.
no more than 7. Okay,
Yeah.
so that was the thing we have to keep in. Okay, so what date? I'm fine with the current
So
thing that you have.
I heard the 3rd and the 4th, and then the 10th and the 11th. That's the last dates I heard.
3rd and 4th for round 1.
That's Wednesday.
All
Thursday.
good?
I'm going to be out the country. First week of December, from the whole first week of December.
All right, so you're not available on, any of the first week of December. I don't know that we can do anything other. If Ms. McCall's not available in the first week of December, I think we have to go back to the days after the tri-conference. 24th, 25th for the first round.
And you said there were evenings, right?
Ms. Pearson?
I'll ask you off the floor.
All right, how's the 24th and 25th?
That
I
works
know
for
it's
me.
not the best, but it's a time that all of us can be here.
Yeah, I'm not in support of it, but if that's the consensus, I don't have a choice.
Well, the other option, or the only other alternative ends up moving the date back, and then we're going to be back into 2026, which is not what we want to do.
When would round two be then, with,
Prop 10th and 11th. Or do we need 2 days for round two?
yes.
Okay, 10th, 11th then.
Could we even do November 25th and 26th, so we have one night home from the conference, or, you know what I mean, and then do the November 25th and 26th?
26th is Thanksgiving Eve.
Oh,
The
never mind,
tri-conference
yeah.
ends at noon on Sunday. We'll have Sunday night at home.
And is everybody's not going, are they?
So
Is everybody going to the tri-conference?
I assume so.
I didn't say I was going.
So it is evident that some of us are conscious of family that, that have small kids.
I know, I apologize. All right, if that was insensitive, I apologize, but I know.
So, okay, is it possible that we can, well, it would be a special meeting. I think going forward, we knew what we were signing up for this. So if it takes an additional meeting, because I'm not sure that having this type of meeting is necessarily the best when we have, specifically on a committee of the whole, when we have such an agenda. So,
Well, this meeting is taking a little bit, or this portion is taking a little longer than we thought, but we're making progress and making decisions, and it's going to take some time, so.
I'm fine with that. I've never complained about, if we're here to midnight, we're here to midnight. I'm always fine with that. But my point is, well, we're just kind of in a unique situation with the dates and the gap from when we agreed to go with the firm is all. So if if this is what the majority want, then that's what it's going to be. But I agree with Mrs. Bennett in terms of the stretch of commitments.
I do too. What my suggestion would be is let's put those dates down for now. If we bounce them around in our head and can figure out some other
That's
better way
fine.
to do it, then
Yeah.
we can maybe adjust those. But let's put those in a calendar for now.
Could you repeat what the at least tentative would be then?
24th and 25th, first
Okay.
round. 10th and 11th, second round.
Okay. You can alter those. I mean, if you figure out a better solution, that would be fine. And Johnny, I think that wraps up that part. And we just have a couple more questions to ask you. If you flip over that agenda, Steve's going to take you through the final decisions that you need to make.
Thank you very much, and I'm going to be quick and actually give you some yes/no questions. The first one is searches take all kinds of different shapes, and because we try to fit what the needs of the community are. There are some that are fully confidential. That means the only people that are involved in the search and interviewing candidates are board members. And then there are others that are a hybrid of that, where they involve community members and they seek feedback about the finalists. And they get information from about the finalists, not who they want, because then that kind of gets in the way of you doing your job as the elected officials in charge of making the selection of the next superintendent, but just giving you feedback simply like strengths of candidates and who they see, how they fit in with the community. There are also other options that we can explore if need be, but typically we recommend doing a search that maintains the board's integrity and its role in choosing the next superintendent. And what that means is that the first round interviews, those with the candidate slate, those that on the 24th and 25th right now for where we're talking about, would be in closed session. and those names would never surface, and that allows people to take the risk of going out. They're probably in a good job right now, and they don't want their community to be surprised, though they see this as a better professional opportunity for them for a variety of reasons. But when you come down and narrow it down to 2 finalists, at that point in time, we think it's important that you know a little bit more about them, and you reach out to their communities, and they need to inform the people they work for, their boards, that they're in the search, and they're at this point, you're very serious about. It's either going to be yes or no on them, or somebody else. And at that point in time, it opens up a little bit more, because you would reach out to their references in their community. You might talk, your board president might talk to the board president where the person is currently working, or their superintendent, if they're not in a superintendent role. And so that changes it in the finalist round. That's the one in December 4th and 5th that we've been talking about. Sometimes boards ask, and they would like to have the finalists do a presentation to the community and get feedback from the community. All we care about is that we meet your needs, but also that we preserve your ability to make the decision and choose the person as the elected representatives of this community who best meets the needs of the district, because you have more information than anyone else about what's needed here. And so the question I have before you will be, do you want to do a full confidential, and that means that nobody meets any of the candidates until you're done? Or do you look at a more hybrid situation that could take shape, not tonight, we don't have to define it tonight, but over the next month or so, we kind of talk a little bit about what that might look like?
Ms. Bennett?
You can go first.
I was just waiting to call on somebody.
Oh, okay. I think if I remember correctly, we spoke about doing a fully confidential search, but then once candidates were narrowed down for the second round, doing some potential like community involvement, like, 3 tables here with 3 candidates that people can meet and talk to, or some discussion with the understanding people can provide input. The board ultimately makes the decision, but community can have a voice. Is that, like, when you're talking about a hybrid, would that be kind of what we're, with the candidates being okay, knowing, like, going into it, that if you were narrowed down, that would be disclosed at that time? Okay.
That's exactly what it's about.
And that's, quite frankly, that's been the most popular model that we've seen in the last couple of years. Not the full-blown community involvement for the finalists, but a selected group or 2 that get to meet them, interview them, write down their input, and share it with the board.
And we could have students included in that too, correct? Like students and families, or however to do that. Okay, absolutely. Thank you. That's what I'd be in support of.
That's what I would also support, and we can define it, like you said, in the coming weeks or months.
Absolutely. Is that where I'm assuming that's where the board would like to go?
Ms. McCall?
Yes, me as well. I just want to.
We really like that decision. It helps us because candidates are more good candidates who are sitting superintendents in good stead. They're much more likely to apply knowing that it's going to be confidential to the end. So you'll get that wide net that we've been talking about.
We know that we're going to need some support to make this search work effectively for you. And so we're going to need someone in the technology department, the communications department, and the scheduling and meeting logistics department, if there is such a thing. You don't need to necessarily name those today, but just make certain that they get to probably Joe, since Joe's being our communication point.
They've already shared that Jim Pearson was.
Yeah, so I think we've got that one.
Yeah.
When you think about a search, people be very curious about how it's going. Who will be have you identified who will be the board spokesperson for that, to the community and the media?
I probably would do that.
Okay.
That's what we thought, but we always check. And I'm assuming that we've already talked and been introduced to Jim with a nice wave. But we are going to look at him to be the person who would be providing, after the board approves it, community information, updates about where the search is going, the timeline, that sort of thing, what's being done.
Yeah, I think he'll provide it, or prepare it, and we'll review it.
And you've got a communications distribution, okay, policy and things like that in place.
Right.
Good. Will the board president continue to be the liaison with BWP, or are you going to try to offload that to somebody else?
I was planning to be.
And Paul, I'll be the BWP, so you're not talking to all three.
Sure.
And then we'll assume that any communication from BWP to the full board would go through you.
All right.
I agree.
Thank you. Ms. Pearson?
Yeah, so since we're on the subject of communication, we were posting on our website communications to where we were at with the search. We're still doing that, correct?
We had posted, after we approved the contract with BWP, I think that was probably our last post on the topic. We could probably post something after this meeting.
Okay, all right, very good. So our communications department will be engaged. And
Oh, sorry.
if I may finish, thank you. And the board president will be the spokesperson, and he has a vice president, otherwise delegate. So is it necessary to have any other board members engaged? Did you say no?
Well, I have some availability just in case, if the vice president wants to be the family. And also, let me lose my train of thought. You have to come back.
Ms. Bennett?
We have multiple different ways that we receive updates from different cabinet members and through Dr. Jarrett each week. And so if it's helpful to you to also make it helpful for Mr. Carpenter, if you have like a paragraph summary of anything like that to provide to Paul to provide out, we are really good about reading our updates. So just to make it easier on you, easier on Mr. Carpenter, and in a method that we already utilize, so.
Thank you. Our goal is not to create another structure for you guys to pay attention to.
And I just, before we move on from communications, you said that the last thing that was put out was the information that we chose the search firm. Aside from the regular legal notices regarding these type of meetings, has anything else came out? Like, was it a special post or something from the communication that went out regarding this particular special meeting where we're going to be talking about this subject? As I look out to the galley, I see it's kind of sparse, but when we're out in the community, you get all this feedback. So I just want to make sure we're providing an opportunity for an additional opportunity for people to become aware of the discussion that's happening as it relates to the superintendent search.
Right, I don't think there was any special communication.
So I just want to put out there if we could
Sure.
as well.
If it helps, suggestion, many districts that are going through a search will create a superintendent search special spot on your website, and then the community gets to familiar with going there for all of the updates.
Okay, he's nodding.
The sixth question we have is important because when we put out a vacancy announcement, Illinois law requires that we include a salary range. And so I don't know if you had discussions, and I don't know if this is the venue to have those discussions, but before we can finalize it, we should have a range of salaries, a salary that you are willing to pay your next superintendent. That isn't binding to you, but at least provides that piece. I think it is binding to that you stay within
the range.
At least go no lower than it. And so we would need that information for the Rockford Public Schools. And the last general question I have is maybe there's three possible questions. Will the successful candidate be required to live in the school district's boundaries? People will ask us that question.
I think that our current superintendent is required to, and I think that the community would expect that from my perspective. Ms. Pearson?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think it's definitely in our best interest to have someone in our community, or a mile radius, because Roscoe is not Rockford.
Right.
DeKalb is not Rockford.
I think if you put a radius on it, you might as well say in the district, but Ms. McCall.
Yeah, I was going to say something about that, at least in the surrounding areas or whatever, define what the Rockford region is.
Okay.
Nothing. Did you clearly indicate Rockford?
My suggestion is that the superintendent has to live within the boundaries of the RPS.
I agree. I think all of us elected officials also have to live within the district, and so I think superintendent to represent the district should live in the district they represent.
Agree.
Okay.
Oh, and I'm sorry. When we state that, we also must state if they're not living, what is the amount of time that we would allow for them to transition to reside in the district?
Well, if they're hired on, if they know they're going to be hired on January 1st to start on July 1st, that's 6 months there to.
Okay, I'm just saying we've got to make sure we state it so it's not left for some.
Well, I guess, I mean, that's up for negotiation, but
Yeah, I think you're better off. There may be an unusual circumstance, an ill family member that they need to care for a certain period of time or something like that. A child that's graduating at the end of the school year or something along those lines. That may be important to them, yet they'll be, I think what you really want to do is make sure they're fully invested in this community. And so I think as you work and identify that candidate, I'd like to think that, you can, within the spirit of that, have some flexibility, even though I think ultimately it's living here. That's what I'm hearing.
I think that makes sense.
Dr. Porto whispered in my ear that you may have already had the salary range conversation. Is that correct?
Yes, the board feels that posting a range of $250,000 to $325,000 would attract the best candidates.
Thank you for doing that.
As a base price, don't forget.
Yeah.
The base salary.
Base salary.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my resume polished out.
Thank you. That's really helpful. Sometimes boards have trouble with that, and it's not always the first question people ask, but it certainly is in the top couple.
Thank you. Those are the questions that I had and that we had as a team. Is there anything else that we've neglected to talk about in this conversation that you would like to share with us this evening before you get on to all the other work you need to do?
Oh, Ms. Stanford.
I have just one question. Back to the time when BWP interviews the top applicants. So how do you determine how many applicants you're actually going to interview out of the number that you receive?
We will review and screen all of them.
But you won't interview all of them?
Yeah, I think for the most part, there will be some conversation with possibly all of them.
With all of them?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. That's all I wanted.
And again, everything goes back to the leadership profile. We're looking for the people with the best connection and match to the leadership profile. And that's why we don't like to put number quotas on it. We don't know how that's going to come out.
And some conversations may be longer than others.
One final thing. Will there be some type of a tracking as far as we see the demographics of the applicants that are that have applied, screened, that have been talked to, and that eventually make it to the interview? Like, will you guys be tracking that information to provide to us?
Yes, that information will be provided as a part of the introduction of the slate.
There is some demographic information that candidates that are not screened we won't have because they're not required and to disclose that by law, and we can't ask by law as well. But yes, we'll talk to you about the demographics we can.
All right, any other questions or things that we didn't discuss that you think are important tonight? Thank you so much for coming,
welcome.
talking to us about this and
Be
talking with
looking
us.
for that vacancy notice. We'll revise that,
Okay.
get it back to you, and also we'll get you a template copy of the survey.
Yes,
If you-
great.
That's your homework.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. I know it took a little longer than we anticipated, but it was a good discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you, staff, for now having to finish this out. We appreciate your patience.
All right, we're going to continue on with the governance committee portion of the committee of the whole meeting. The next item is board policy, a revision to board policy 7.70, attendance and truancy. It has proposed revisions to describe additional valid reasons for absence, including, for example, fulfillment of parenting responsibilities or circumstances resulting from domestic or sexual violence. Board Policy 7.140 has proposed revisions to reflect current practice with regard to the district's weapons screening process. Board Policy 7.190 has proposed revisions to describe current practice of re-engagement of students after student discipline, as well as the district's responsibility to notify parents, law enforcement, and the Illinois State Board of Education web-based school incident reporting system following incidents involving firearms, drugs, or staff battery. Board Policy 7.250 has proposed revisions in response to state law requiring students 12 years of age and older to be annually notified of the availability of counseling without parent or guardian consent. The policy also reflects the requirement that one staff member in each building be designated as a resource person for students who are parents, expectant parents, or victims of domestic or sexual violence. Board Policy 7.255 is new, and it is created in response to a new law requiring the district to ensure that there are policies, procedures, and resources in place to address the education and related needs of students who are parents, expectant parents, or victims of domestic or sexual violence. Board Policy 7.300 has proposed revisions to remove references to Illinois High School Association bylaws that were effective only in 2021 and 2022. Are there any questions about any of those proposed policy changes? Ms. Bennett.
For policy 7.255, could somebody just provide like a basic overview of kind of what the goal of this policy is in addition to what the training component will be and what it'll kind of look like for staff and students, please?
So the basic overview is that we have to designate resource personnel at each school building to address students who are parents, expectant parents, victims of domestic violence or sexual violence. And those resource personnel have specific statutorily mandated training in trauma-informed care and other areas as mandated by the statute. And then in addition to the resource personnel at each school, there are also must be complaint resolution personnel, so that if a student or family has issues with the support and or resources that are being provided to them, there's a means and a channel to address their concerns.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Are there any questions regarding the governance consent items found in sections 4A through C? Seeing none, we'll move on to the Stakeholders Committee. Ms. Stanford, Ms. Haley.
Good evening. It's now time for the Stakeholders Committee portion of the meeting tonight. Let's start by showing our 12-month agenda. Our feature presentation will be from Bridget French and John Cusimano. Oh, I'm sorry. We want to remind board members of the opportunities available to interact with our students, families, and community each month from the calendar that you see. Please make sure to check the board calendar on rps205.com on a regular basis for the most up-to-date information. Now, let's look at all of the good things happening in our district. Constant Lane Elementary hosted its first ever bike rodeo. Invited students received a bike thanks to the Carpenter's Place, safety gear, and road safety training. Huge thanks to Brook Road Community Center for helping make this event a success. Thank you to our coaches and staff for participating in the RPS golf outing at the Aldine Golf Club last month. They gathered to help us support and celebrate athletics. Next, we'll be celebrating RPS 205 through our Athletic Hall of Fame. The RPS 205 Athletic Hall of Fame class of 2025 was inducted last month. Thank you to our guests who joined the celebration of our inductees. Congratulations to former East High School coaches Perry and Gary Giardini and the 1997-98 East Wrestling Team. Last month, our summer graduates walked across the stage to receive their diplomas. The ceremony took place at Jefferson High School, and we want to say congratulations to the class of 2025. Next up is items of note with our community partners. 4 area school districts competed as guest bartenders at local restaurants to raise funds for the Golden Apple Foundation. Each team had to earn tips. RPS 205 raised a total of $1,795 for our teacher programs. Screw City still has a new home at RPS 205. The Rockford Area Arts Council gifted the mural-covered steel doors to Auburn, East, Guilford, and Jefferson High Schools. Honoring Rockford's industrial roots, these doors now stand as symbols of pride, creativity, and belonging. Thank you to those partnerships. On our 205 vibe, the Illinois Early Literacy Coalition spotlights RPS 205 and 5 other districts in a study on improving reading outcomes. Learn how collaboration, coaching, and evidence-based strategies are driving literacy gains across Illinois. Read on the 205 vibe. And now it's time for our legislative news. Governor J.B. Pritzker has signed into law 4 bills reinforcing Illinois' commitment to helping our students make it to and through college. One-click college admit automatically offers general admissions to eligible seniors at local community colleges and participating public universities. No fees, essays, or letters are required. Dual Credit Equality, the Dual Credit Equality Act update ensures dual credit courses meet state standards, clarifies teaching credentials, and sets rules for out-of-state partnerships. The FAFSA contact requires each high school to name a staff member to connect families with free FAFSA help. No financial expertise needed. In-school FAFSA support. Schools must provide time and support during the school day to help students complete the FAFSA. And our internal external news. We have RPS 205 hosted the Brothers for Change Community Town Hall at East High School last month. Educators of color shared the impact of the BAGS initiative, behavior, attendance, grades, and social-emotional. The evening featured a powerful panel, community Q&A, and dinner. Kim Nelson and Teresa Fillers from our early childhood department, as well as board member Nicole Bennett, were on hand for the announcement of Alignment Rockford's Basics garden in the Grove at Severson Dells. These gardens are the areas where children and their caregivers can go to play, explore, and learn together in a child-friendly natural setting. The RPS, or the Rockford Mass Transit District, has partnered with the Food Insecurity Task Force to address food access in Rockford by highlighting the connection between bus routes and food pantries. A new campaign uses bus ads, including QR codes, to direct people to resources. This initiative aims to ensure that people know how to access food assistance through our MTD services, and our very own community engagement support professional, Jenny Barnett, is on the task force that helped make this possible. And now for our feature presentation. Please welcome Bridget French and John Cusimano, who will tell us all about the district's newest facility opening this school year. Take it away, guys.
Good evening. My name is Bridget French. I'm the Executive Director of College and Career Readiness, and Mr. Cusimano and I are excited to provide you with this update this evening. So the College and Career Education Center is designed to meet the evolving needs of our students, provide equal access to high-demand pathways, and build a talent pipeline for our community. Every student will have access to pathways that previously were not available at every school. Programs like manufacturing that were only available at Jefferson are now accessible to all students without a zone transfer. So these ideas are bigger than a simple acronym like the CCEC. We needed a name. This isn't just about renaming a building. It's about capturing the essence of what the building will mean to our students, our district, and our community. This place is a canvas for students to engage, create, and capture the next chapter of their story. With that, we want to unveil the new logo and brand for the CCEC, the Quad. We want the brand to be as innovative as the space itself. When you think of the Nike logo in the swoosh, you don't need to see the name Nike to know what the swoosh means. Just like that, this brand represents innovation, but it also represents all of our students. Each letter's color is a take off of one of our 4 traditional high schools. The word quad also represents the number 4. 4 school zones, 4 traditional high schools, 4 academies. Quad is also a courtyard in some colleges. So this is a new name and a new story. One filled with impact, progress, and pathways that lead our students anywhere they want to go. The Quad will stand for more than programs or pathways. It's a symbol of possibility, connection, and the future our students are building every day. We're not just making a space, we're inviting everyone to be a part of something bigger. The dream to do, to belong, and that's the story that we're ready to tell. So just a reminder about some of the programming that will take place at the Quad when we open on August 14th. This year we open business, health, and service academies. The dental facility will be operated by Dr. Cyrus Oates, and we are expanding our nursing program, which was once a regional program with a certain amount of seats for our students, is now only RPS's nursing program, which has allowed us to expand the seats. In the 26-27 school year, we will open up the Area C, which is the south end of the building, for the Production Academy, and we will also add a welding pathway for our students, which currently is offered at Auburn High School in a very limited manner. These are the pathways that will be offered in FY26 this school year, and then the following year in FY27. you'll see that we're adding a couple new pathways, again, in FY27, a welding pathway, and then we'll be partnering with Dr. Oates to offer students a dental hygiene opportunity and pathway. Linked in your presentation that you received are lists of every high school and what pathways they currently offer, and then which pathways and which classes within those pathways will be moving over to the quad. So again, not every pathway and not every class in every pathway will move. It really varies by the pathway, the equipment needs, and what opportunities were limited to our students, which now will be available to all. We will have an open house for families and students who will be attending the quad this school year. The open houses are the 12th and the 13th. Those are currently limited to only the families who will be attending in the fall. We want to make sure that they have the opportunity to walk their schedules just like they would at one of the 4 traditional high schools. However, we really want to wait until the building is complete before we do a full open house for all RPS staff, faculty, administrators, and community members. But we will be hosting an open house in the fall, and we will definitely let you know when that's going to be. Throughout the year, we will host 8th graders so that they understand what is available to them, and we will also host freshmen as they're deciding what pathways they want to choose for 10th through 12th grade. And then we currently are working with the purchasing team to finalize a request for proposals to identify a communications and marketing firm to help us continue to tell the story of our academies, pathways, the quad, and what that means for our students. A few logistical notes. This is a floor plan of the building. It's a little outdated just in that we've moved a couple classes around, but nothing significant, still largely. This is the plan with phase 2 to the left in the light blue. That's what will be taking place in the FY27 school year. So again, a student session will mean that students will either start or end their day at the quad. They will travel from home to the quad, either from a bus stop, parent drop-off if they so choose, or student self-transport. They will be there for 2 to 3 class periods a day, and then they will go back to their home high school over 1 class period in which they will have the opportunity to eat lunch at the quad and then travel to their home high school, or travel to the quad and then eat lunch at the quad. In the afternoon session is just the opposite of that. Students would start their day at their home high school, end their day at the quad, and then go home from the quad. Again, the building will be open for occupancy the first day of school. We do have a few hiccups just in some pieces that have been delayed, equipment, but we have contingency plans for all of that. We've been working with Mr. Phillips and Megan Simon, and they have been wonderful in helping us come up with contingency plans for making sure that students have a great first day of school. So with that, I would like to formally introduce Mr. John Cusimano, who is the principal of the quad, and he's here to tell you a little bit about the team. I can click if you want.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Is that okay? Great. So the team, here I am. Thank you so much. I was blessed back in January to get this position, and it's the excitement hasn't gone away. Little bit leadership team. I'm John. I've been in the district for 11 years. I was an assistant principal at Jefferson. I heard about the CCEC at the time. Started to get excited when I went and listened to the presentation when they came to the schools, and decided before I left the auditorium that night that I was going to apply for this job. Because I'm passionate about it. Because when I think about this position, I think about opportunities for kids, and really nothing more than that. Because if we're providing opportunities for kids, all the other things are going to fall into place. Being at Jefferson, I saw kids that were there for manufacturing. you have conversations with those kids, and some of them really loved it there. Some of them really missed their friends from whatever school they came from. So you start thinking about the dynamics, and creating opportunities for kids, again, is what this is all about. So you won't have to make those tough decisions. You have to make a decision. You have to make a choice. We're asking kids, we're asking families to do something a little bit different than what they've been asked to do the last several years of their educational experience, and I understand that. But we're hoping to make it just an awesome transition for them. Like Bridget said, there are a few hiccups, but they're pretty minor. We have contingency plans. Once it's up and running, it's really going to be such a beautiful space. Jeremy Brown, we went through a process to interview assistant principals, and we landed on Jeremy, which was very pleasing to me because Jeremy and I have worked together. He's been at Jefferson the last 9 years, and as I said, I've been there for 11. So if you can imagine anything and everything that could happen in a high school, he and I have dealt with it, and we've been through it. And he was the right person for the job. I'm glad the rest of the committee felt that way. I love the guy like a brother. We will have closed door discussions where we disagree. I promise. If you see us out here, we're pretty friendly. We're pretty cordial. But we care a lot about each other, and this is the right place for both of us because we're willing to do what needs to be done. We are absolutely thrilled to have Katie Hahn as our academy coach. I didn't know Katie until the interview process. I had seen some of the work that she's done in the district and certainly heard her name. But once we met her and sat down with her and started talking vision, we knew that she aligned with the vision for what we're looking for, which again, opportunities, all about the kids, trying to make this the best experience that they can have while we have them. One of the really unique things about this position was, since it is a new building, generally if you get a principal position, you're going into a building with an established staff. And with this one, it was really cool for me because of the 26 teachers, 9 of them were inherited. So they were existing RPS teachers who were given the choice to go to the quad, and they made that choice. So that left 17 teachers that I was able to, throughout the spring, bring in, interview, sit across from them, really get to know them, talk about what my vision is. And it was great because I really feel like that gives me just kind of a leg up on a traditional principal where you inherit the entire staff. I was able to sit across from these people and have these discussions with them, and then I was the one doing all the follow-up, and we're excited. As far as support staff, Megan Chennel is a counselor that's going to be there, and Megan does fantastic work. We have a Tier 2 and Tier 3 academic interventionist who I was just in a meeting with this morning about evaluations, and she's ready to go. She's got a lot of stuff ready for the kids already. And then non-certified staff, we're a little bit bare bones. We have 1 OP3. We will have full food service staff. The 2 principals, the counselor, the OP, and we are going to do everything that it takes to make this, like I said, a beautiful experience for our kids. So we're very excited. I appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Ms. Bennett?
Okay, 2 quick questions. For students who are going to be attending for the first time, has there been a tour? Will there be tours? Is there a back-to-school event, or how will students?
There's a back-to-school event on the 12th and the 13th in the evenings. We have 2 opportunities for guided tours, and we have already communicated that out to families twice, and we'll do so again probably at the end of this week.
Okay, great, thank you. And then my last question, and I think I maybe asked it when you presented last time, but just as a reminder, when looking at the support staff, so for students who have IEPs and have minute requirements for their IEPs, I don't see a social worker and I don't see paras. So what is the plan for that?
So we will partner with the home schools to identify which students have minutes and which services they need, and we will make sure that they get the services that they need.
So would that be like a social worker from a different school if necessary?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And same thing for paras, if a student has like one-on-one para para would follow student to CCEC? or-
Yes, correct.
It's going to be hard to the quad.
Yes, I know.
Like on the bus with a student and then bus back, or?
I don't know that we've identified a plan for that as far as how that person would be transported, whether it would be with the student or, in their own vehicle, but we will figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Ms. McCall?
So as far as the, you said you were going to hire a communications firm to put out the messages and stuff. I'm just curious as why our communications department won't be able to handle that.
We want to do an extensive marketing and communications campaign, and there are only 3 of them. And I think that their current workload does not allow for the amount of communications and marketing that we would like to do for this building and for our academies as well.
Okay.
Ms. Chavez?
Okay, so I got here a little bit late from the presentation, so I just want to make sure. So this is a quad where high school students from all 4 high schools will attend for extra course support, correct? Like hands-on?
So it's not extra. So all of our students are in a pathway, which is a 3-course sequence.
Okay.
And the students that will be at the quad are students whose pathway classes are at the quad. So for example, we won't have culinary classes at our 4 traditional high schools. So if that is the pathway you chose, then you would go to the quad. However, if you chose the public safety pathway, you would remain at your home high school because that is not a pathway that will be at the quad. And that was determined because the public safety pathway doesn't require any extensive equipment like a culinary, like a biomedical, for example.
Okay, my other question is, so approximately how many students would be attending?
I think we have about 500 per session. So 500 morning, 500 different students in the afternoon.
Okay. My concern here is that you're only providing 1 ESL teacher. That is my concern. And if we want to market it, which I hope is going to market the quad in different languages, you will need more than 1 ESL teacher. That is for sure. What are the plans for that? So we're not back here in 2 years seeing that that's needed.
So that's a great question. And I think what we've done for this year is provided at least 1 of everything that we need with a plan to address student needs throughout the year and then going into next year. So might we need more than 1 ESL teacher? Yes, but when we created the allocations for the building, we didn't know the number of students that we would have or what they needed. So we will be monitoring that and addressing it as we go, just like we may need more than 1 OP at the building. We don't know that yet. This is all brand new to us. We've never done this before. So we are constantly monitoring our students and our students' needs, and we'll continue to work with Dr. Brown and his team, or Ellen Schubert, whoever we need to make sure our students are getting the services that they need.
Well, I kind of also feel that, considering we have our newcomers, right? I mean, it's going to be obviously makes sense that you will need more than 1 ESL teacher, especially you want to encourage them and to go to the quad and participate in these programs. I mean, I think it's just common sense that you would need more than 1, at least a support person in addition to the ESL teacher. And I think we'll see how it goes, or feeling as it goes is not, for myself, an acceptable answer. Because these students will need these resources or these services, as well as the ACL teacher. We don't want to feel they're not being supported either.
If I could, yeah, absolutely. Everything that you're saying makes complete sense. We have 1 ESL teacher because that's the number of kids that are in the programs that are offered there now. We fully anticipate going into the following year when we add all the manufacturing classes and we're fully open. Like I can tell you right now, we will need more ESL. We will need more special ed teachers because our numbers are going to go up. So the current staffing was 100% based on the number of students who were going to be there. So we are able to cover everybody that we have this year, but we are anticipating needing more staff, specifically in those areas moving forward, going into the following year.
Okay. Thank you.
Ms. Bennett?
I wanted to say, great presentation. I should have said that first. And then also, I really liked the logo. The first time I saw it, it like instantly made me feel happy that it like is proportionate and organized and collective and inclusive, and really great job on whoever did that. So.
Graham Spencer did that, designed the logo. The board approved a contract for them last fiscal year. However, the communications team put together the presentation for tonight, so I just wanted to make sure they were recognized for that as well.
I do have a question. I know that the production academy, the welding and stuff, that's not going to happen until next school year.
Correct.
Do we still have a partnership with Rock Valley out at the ATC for welding students to go? I know that the participation declined.
Correct.
So
we no longer run Career Running Start, which is what that program was, because the number of students significantly declined. However, we do have a partnership with them where if students are interested, that we will get them out there to participate and we can fund their tuition. But we're not running like a full district program where we're advertising it like we were with Career Running Start, just because we're bringing those programs in-house and we didn't want to dilute that. And the student interest, frankly, wasn't there. I think at the end of the program, we had 40 seats available and we had 4 students in it. So
okay.
It just wasn't, the amount of time it was taking students to go to Belvedere and come back, it just wasn't, it was just too much instructional time lost.
Sure. Okay. Thank you. I was just wondering. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. If no other questions, thank you guys for your presentation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do any board members have anything to share regarding any events you've attended or any interactions you've had in the community? Ms. Pearson.
Thank you. I had an opportunity to meet with Mr. Lamont Jones with the Rockford Park District and all of the activities and how they're contributing to our students, and to tour the walk the track at the Clarence Hicks Stadium, which is absolutely awesome. So, you know, I remember reading a study on why Park District is so important in communities. And I just want to give them a shout out for all the work that they're doing and how they're servicing our students. And I look forward to an increased collaboration where it relates to our facilities and the utilization of our facilities, where it relates to the Park District and their activities. So that was a really good experience, real good, wholesome conversation. Had an opportunity to see a presentation of, you know, the flag football and, you know, all the activities, and them collaborating with Rockford Fire, and some of our students, many of our students was able to go to Houston, Texas, and had a good experience and exposure there. So shout out to Rockford Park District and Lamont Jones and their entire team.
Thank you. Anyone else? Ms. Bennett.
Earlier today, I and other board members as well attended the Educator Summit, which is a multiple partner endeavor, but it's 2-day training. So tomorrow is the last day, but lots of really good information about supporting our youth, and specifically focused on educators and those in the classrooms and buildings, how to support students regarding trauma, abuse, all of those different items. And then tomorrow is the second day. So really good information, and they're going to provide the statistics to us at the end, but I think it's around 90% of participants out of like 250 are RPS employees. So we have a really good representation there, and just people really committed to help our kids. So it was a very lovely environment. So
wonderful. Ms. McCall.
Thank you. I was at the meeting, the summit this morning as well, and have been there the past several years. I do want to commend some of the parent liaisons and the other RPS staff, bless you, who have been out this past weekend and the other weeks and the upcoming weeks preparing for back to school and getting our scholars ready for the first day of school. I also would like to also acknowledge and thank just again, the parents and staff who are getting ready to gear up to have a fantastic upcoming school year, ready to be positive. Again, we have a lot of new things coming, so the quad is going to be some great things happening with that. So just want to thank everybody and tell everybody to, you know, rest up because it's it's the final countdown for a lot of things. So let's make sure that this is going to be a great school year, and I'm looking forward to visiting all the schools and things as normal. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Ms. Stanford.
So I had the opportunity yesterday afternoon to what we called a bus tour with the Brothers for Change. We went to several different neighborhoods in our community, inviting parents and families to come out to the back to school bash that the Brothers for Change are hosting this coming Saturday. It's from 4:30 to 7:30 at Auburn High School in the field house. And it's not just your regular back to school party. It's going to be focused around the Bags Initiative. There's going to be tables set up for each of the 4 categories with brothers hosting each of the areas. And there's going to be goal setting and school day planning available for parents and families so that we start our school year off on the right foot and go forward from there. So I hope everyone can come out Saturday, again, 4:30 to 7:30 at Auburn High School in the field house.
Thank you. Ms. McCall.
There was one other thing I forgot to mention. Also, I just want to thank our community partners who are providing the back to school bashes, backpack giveaways, all of the things. We just had one this past weekend with the Fred Van Vliet Foundation. So just want to publicly thank all of the community partners who are thinking of our students. I know we got to stuff the bus, all type of things that are coming up to help try to prepare our students.
Thank you. If there's
Just one quick thing.
Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you. This is not so much a reflection, but an announcement that our next committee of the whole meeting is not going to be here in this room. It's going to be at RISA, and during the school year, we'll be doing committee of the whole meetings at different schools. So we'll announce it each time and keep your eyes open for the announcements for the board meetings. But it'll be at RISA at 6 o'clock, and we'll have closed session before that, 5 o'clock for board members, but the public part will be at 6 o'clock. And I don't know, I'm pretty excited. I think a lot of us are pretty excited to be having meetings in the schools. So just wanted to announce that.
I'm sorry, I didn't know who was first, but Ms. Bennett?
Can I ask Mr. Carpenter a question?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter, is there a schedule already announced of what schools will be after September, or in the month previous you will announce the next month?
I don't think the schedule is set for the whole school year yet, or maybe it is.
We do have a proposed schedule that I can share with the board.
Okay, thank you.
And I could be wrong here, but it's something that obviously we can share with the community. I think it's been published on the site as well and everything. Okay, so with that, my concern is that because there's a large Latino population at RISA, is there going to be, if needed, any interpreters present in case? I feel the community is going to be very excited about it and will need to attend and may voice some concerns, but I don't want the language barrier to be an issue or a reason why they would not attend or feel unwelcomed.
I can work on aligning that support.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the feedback. I think it was very important. And if that is all, that concludes our Stakeholders Committee presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. We've been going for a couple hours or more. If anybody wants to take a recess, I'd take a motion to go into recess for 10 minutes.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll come back at 8:10. All right, we're calling the meeting back to order at 8:11 p.m. Ms. Bennett will now lead the Performance Monitoring Committee.
Okay, good evening. We will begin with a presentation from Christina Miller regarding our options for our next 2 Tier 3 academic return on investment studies.
Good evening. I'm Christina Miller, Director of Continuous Improvement and Accountability. If you remember, back on July 1st, our Committee of the Whole, we discussed the completion of our academic return on investment studies for math, secondary math, and we are now looking forward to selecting our next 2 AROIs. You received some information, so we'll be reviewing that tonight, and then at the end of this presentation, we'll be selecting those 2 out of the 5 choices. So just a reminder of what our PDSA stands for, Plan, Do, Study, Act, that we have our 3 tiers. We have Tier 1. These are monitored inside central office at the department level. Our Tier 2 receive additional oversight of looking at metrics and our results. And the Tier 3 will select 2 tonight that are monitored throughout the year. We will report to you 3 times a year to the board. The purpose of these academic return on investment is we're looking for in-depth analysis on success criteria, and we want to know which programs drive student achievement, and ultimately we want to know what works for whom and under what conditions. Just a reminder, it is a 10-step process, and tonight we're just selecting which studies we will do, and then we will begin our study design. We will do those first 2 of the plan and design analysis, and then we will have a very long period of collecting and analyzing and doing some action steps and support for whichever 2 programs you select. And then we will select our end date. We have done 3 years in the past, and this last secondary math we did 2 years. So we will also, as part of the design process, select how long we will do these studies for as well. So before we get started, just a very quick refresher of what the 5 options were. Our first option, option A, is our Safe and Civil School and CHAMPS partnership. Just a reminder that this is a framework around creating positive and proactive behavior support systems. This would be a comparison study, which means that we would be looking at our schools that are implementing CHAMPS and Safe and Civil School versus our schools that are not utilizing these programs, and we would use that to make decisions about expanding, keeping it at only specific schools, or eliminating if we see it's not effective. Option B is our new teacher orientation and mentoring model. This mentoring model will continue. This would be an improvement study as we are part of, we need to do some job embedded onboarding process, but we would be studying as to what we would need to do to expand, keep as is, or fix the new teacher or mentoring program. Option C is our student well-being program models. We have a variety of different positions and programs that we utilize throughout our school system, such as counselors, social workers, behavior interventionists, trauma therapists. We have Rosecrans partnerships. So this study would be a comparison study. We would be looking at the different program models that we offer and looking to see what we can expand, keep at specific schools, eliminate certain programs if it's not showing the improvement, or fix if we see promising results under certain circumstances. Option D is our special education intensive school response plan. We had an audit from DMG that looked at different takeaways that we could improve our special education services. We have 9 elementary schools that will be receiving additional program modeling, and so we would be doing a comparison study of those 9 schools for our children with disabilities and the services that we're receiving compared to the schools that are not receiving that extra support. And we would use that to decide if we're going to expand, keep at just those schools, eliminate, or fix. And then our final option is option E, our bilingual program model. This would be different than the rest. This is called a forward-looking comparison study. This is so that we're looking to see This is a brand new option that's going to be started with our bilingual program models for the one-way dual language and our part-time transitional bilingual model. So this would be forward-looking in that this is not started, and this is the very start of those program models. So with that, I'm going to leave this up. This is decision time for you guys to have some discussion. We are selecting 2 studies out of these 5. We're looking at which 2, we're obviously still doing all of these 5 things in implementation, but which 2 are we going to do AROIs on? And again, you will receive updates on these 3 times a year.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carpenter?
Oh, I guess, can you kind of explain how the forward-looking comparison study would work?
Absolutely. I had to turn my mic back on, sorry. So a forward-looking study, if you, a few years ago, we did our Reading Horizons study. It was technically a forward-looking study. We had already started a little bit of our Reading Horizons, but it was mostly looking at, as we are rolling out and starting implementation, how can we make sure that this is the best implementation possible, and learning as we go and implementing so we continue to improve as we're rolling out and starting to execute this. So this would be a large focus on looking at metrics, looking at quick response rate of how we can make sure we get big implementation and fidelity before the rollout of a program. So as it's being rolled out, we're looking at how we can make sure that we're starting it in the best way possible.
Thank you.
Ms. McCall?
Can you give me a little more in-depth on item B and D as far as what it would look like?
Can you give me a little bit more information of what you're looking for?
So it says for D, oops, I missed it. You're going to be looking at 9 elementary schools, and you're studying the special education audit. So when you're saying it's a comparison study, like it's not going to give us any, it's just going to show like what's missing, or like when it's regarding special education, could you tell me, it says special education intensive school response plan.
I'm going to pass over.
That's fine.
So when we had the opportunity modeling with DMG, they provided some information about our student progress at elementary school, so our student growth, academic growth. And so this is a response to that by providing additional supports for differentiation, for direct and indirect services for students with IEPs, for literacy and numeracy, to see if that implementation of that additional support improves our academic return on investment.
Okay, and then how does that relate to, or not relate to, if you can give me the same type of breakdown for the new teacher orientation?
For B? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Lawrence.
you.
For new teacher orientation and mentoring model, this is something we have to do. We have to provide a new teacher mentoring or onboarding process. So this would stay regardless of what happens with the study. What we would be looking for is how can we improve? We have lots of new teachers that come in. We all know that we have a teacher shortage across the nation. We're looking at what could we do to try to improve retention and get our new teachers to stay. And studies have shown that that new teacher orientation and mentoring model is a big key element of making sure that teachers feel like they want to stay in a district and stay into the profession. And so this would be just an improvement study of what can we do to help with retention of our new teachers. We would still have to keep the new teacher mentoring. It's just what would we do to improve it?
Thank you.
Ms. Chavez?
Yes. So one thing I want the board to know is that regarding the bilingual program, the one-way dual language and model, keep in mind making a decision that an audit was done about 2-3 years ago and of the bilingual program, and we horribly failed. And I'm glad they're taking a new model, which they're going to be implementing, and I feel it's very important that we are on top of and be involved or see the the updates and be involved in the implementation of that new model so that we can hopefully support find any if there's any things that need to be changed, any suggestions that need to be made. So it's very important that that be supported. Again, because, and I believe the previous audit was not successful either. So obviously there's an issue, and if we're having more newcomers that that population is increasing, it's a possibility we have a strong bilingual program for the better of our community as well as for our students.
Thank you. One thing I'd like to add, I think we mentioned it last meeting when we discussed this too, but for option C in particular, the well-being program model, one thing just to note of this is just the extreme amount of funding that goes into all of those different positions. So I think a deep dive into what is effective, what is not, what is working, what is not, with like the significant amount of money that's being spent to make sure that that money is being targeted correctly, students are having access to what they need, and if they're not, making sure that we are pivoting and changing and adapting to meet their needs. Is there any other discussion, any other questions? Mr. Carpenter.
I guess kind of all of these are obviously important things and important topics. I think that we haven't mentioned the Safe and Civil School Champs program. That behavior is something that we spend a lot of time on, and that's a big concern to everyone, especially our families and staff members. And so I don't know, I think that that's an important topic.
Ms. Haley?
Yes, I agree. I with Paul, I was going to discuss the importance of the framework for the Safe and Civil Schools, the CHAMPS partnership. We have invested a lot of time and money into that, and I would be interested in knowing if that program is actually working.
Thank you. Ms. Pearson.
You know, the Safe and Civil School, the CHAMPS, if you really want to know or see it in full force, I would take a visit to Jackson Charter School. I think that they have nailed it. And this is something that they use on a regular. And I thought it would be a greater buy-in with our traditional schools, for lack of a better word. But Jackson Charter School have really implemented this to near perfection. So Dr. Wren and her team I've seen it in action, and it's working there. I don't know how successful we are with it in our schools, and I know that implementation is everything, and the buy-in and implementation, but Jackson Charter School is definitely as a role model for the CHAMPS.
Thank you. One quick question for when we're talking about option C and option A, so wouldn't Safe and Civil Schools or CHAMPS be considered tier 1 intervention, which would be included in theory in well-being models, or they're separate for?
Those are separate. Our Safe and Civil School and CHAMPS partnerships, those are looking at more in the classroom behavior type supports, schools, systems, expectations, how we have classroom management techniques, different tier 1 expectations of how a classroom might run and how a hallway might be. And then our C, our student well-being program models, that's the different varieties of supports that we have at the tier 3 level or tier 2 of looking at our social workers, our counselors, trauma therapists, and looking at all the different ways that we respond to the needs of students, which ways are going to be the best ways that we support, and which ways does it work and under what conditions. And Safe and Civil Schools is more of how do we as a school respond and create that high expectation for student behavior.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Haley.
I just want to know if A and C, do those overlap at schools at all?
They should overlap. If you have interventions that are being provided by the student well-being program models, like a behavior interventionist, you would want to make sure that they're reinforcing those classroom management, those school-wide expectations with the students in a more targeted fashion. So it should seamlessly come together, but it is separate things. It's really, one is more so the allocations, the people, the staffing. The other one is how are we setting the expectations and the professional learning for all the different staff.
Okay, so I guess my question is, you have CHAMPS that's administered at a certain set of schools, and then you have these SEL models that are at other schools. And how would you evaluate them if you have two of the same schools where both of these models are offered?
Well, I would say we have the rollout of safe and civil schools that's taking place at a number of schools. And so the manner in which you would measure the effectiveness of CHAMPS would be looking at them as the variable having CHAMPS and compare them to schools that do not have CHAMPS as the control group to see if it's making much of a difference. Whereas with the student well-being program model, I think looking at how those are discretionary allocations that are available in the discretionary budget menu for all of the schools. So each of the schools, one may choose, to really invest in parent liaisons. Another one may invest in having like RISA, they have a behavior interventionist at every grade level. And so the idea would be for each of those different positions, they have a different purpose. And so you would look at what are the inputs that they're providing for students for their caseload. Are they getting good outputs and good outcomes for their students? And so that would be the way that you would study a parent liaison versus a behavior interventionist, is those student outcomes that they're getting based off of their inputs.
I would just add as well that once these are selected, the team creates the study and the design of how we are going to look at all of the different variables, the different segments of data. We look at the different student segments, but we also look at, if you remember from our math ROI study, we did different segments of how long has a teacher been teaching? Is there a substitute? Are they teaching extra courses? So those were all segments that we built into the design of the study of different things that we wanted to see under what conditions does this work or not work. So those would be things that once selected, we would create all the different ways we would want to study this. And so if we chose safe and civil schools, we would do all the different segments of data that we would want to design over how do we know that this is a safe and civil school and CHAMPS variable versus a special cause variance, right? With that's an amazing staff member who's really pulling it all together, and that's the real reason why it's successful. Or is this a school that also has an amazing safe and civil school, but the special cause variance is the social worker is also a really high variable that is having this input. So that's all built into the designs of the study. And we look for those kind of overlaps of, are there other factors besides this program that might be getting those results?
And I just want to add, for the well-being model study, we have multiple types of staffing scenarios across the district, and really we'd be looking to gather some evidence-based for what's actually getting results for kids and do more of that and less of the others. Maybe we streamline the number of models that we have available, et cetera. So in this list would be our partnership with Rosecrans. To what extent does that remove barriers for kids in those schools to get the referrals and for their families to get the referrals that they need that maybe other students aren't seeing the same success? So is that something we should do more of? We also have a new position called the MTSS social worker. What's the impact of that? Each of our schools, through their discretionary funding, has selected various positions. We really want to study the effectiveness of that specifically on students' overall well-being. The way this is different from CHAMPS and safe and civil schools is that's really about explicitly setting and teaching expectations across the school for behavior tier 1. We're really talking in the well-being model going beyond that universal screening and into also making referrals and providing services.
Thank you. Ms. Pearson.
Thank you. It seemed like we have, when did we actually introduce a safe and civil schools? Has it been, 2 years? It's been 3 years? We're going into the third year? So I thought when this was first introduced, we talked about it like meeting all of these. Maybe we should go back to the introductory of Safe and Civil Schools presentation, because it seemed like it's a little bit of each option, a little bit of it was in Safe and Civil Schools. But of course, we're going into 3 years, but I remember the expectation. I remember well-being being definitely the expectation where it relates to behavior, but I also recall you indicating that there were certain categories or additional options that we would gradually take on. So can we go back and look at, not tonight, of course, but the original introduction of the Safe and Civil Schools? That was, I'm talking about previous board meetings,
Like you want, just to clarify, you would like somebody at a later, maybe next month, to provide us an update or an overview of what was initially decided for CHANCE?
Exactly.
Okay. Could somebody, or Dr. Gallagher, go ahead.
Yes, we have, over the course of the rollout for Safe and Civil Schools and the CHAMPS training for the original schools that started it, so like McIntosh, Lewis Lane, and Lewis Lemon, Constance Lane, pardon me, I'm mixing the schools together. We've been tracking that data for, I think what you're referring to is we wanted to see, are they improving in terms of attendance for the students? Are they improving in their sense of belonging on their survey data? Are they improving in the number of out-of-school or in-school days, decreasing at those schools? We have been tracking that data, and I'd be happy to share that in maybe a weekly superintendent's update.
Perfect, that's fine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so what I hope to do now, which is we're going to just vote. So we're going to, since there's no more questions, no more discussion items, vote, as in like raising your hand kind of vote. So we're going to do it like elementary school. So consensus, yes. But to go around and say the options and then truly just raise your hand or turn your light on, whatever people prefer, and then just tally the options and then have a discussion from what the top two are, is my plan. Is there a different plan somebody would like? Are people okay with that plan?
Can we vote for 2 then?
Yeah, so we'd want to vote for 2. Yep, and only 2. Please don't make me keep track if you voted for more. It's very late at night. So, okay, is everybody okay? Do I have consensus? Everyone's okay getting consensus this way? Yes. Okay. Yep, okay. Okay, everyone's lights are off. Okay, if you're choosing option A, please turn your light on. I have 3, is that correct? Okay, if you're choosing option B, turn your light on. I have 2, is that correct? Yeah, thank you. If you just keep that slide up, that'd be helpful. Thank you. Okay, if you're choosing option C, turn your light on. Okay, I have 1. If you're choosing option D, turn your light on. Okay, I have 2, is that correct? Okay, lastly, if you're choosing option E, turn your light on. I have 4, is that correct? Okay, did everybody vote 2 times?
Do you have 14 votes?
Well,
Yeah, I
first
have
of all,
12.
this voting is giving me, is bothering me.
Okay, so let's do it this way to make sure everybody is accounted. Ms. Pearson, can you please say what 2 options you would like?
I cannot tonight, but I will, because I'm kind of leaning towards A, because that could potentially help nearly every other category except E. So, but I will, the reason why I stay away from consensus, and you all know the story, but every time we use the word consensus, I'm going to bring it up, because that sends a message of support. Then when it's actually time to vote, and you vote something differently, then that appears to be a problem. So I am going to continue to look at the categories, and I'm really interested in some information from the original presentation of the Safe and Civil School. Thank you.
So it's my understanding that we won't actually vote on these items, right? They're not coming up for vote. So the idea, and even the reason I use the word vote is, I understand the word consensus, that's fine, but to just have us have a way to have a discussion about what we are selecting. So this won't be up for an official vote or anything like that. So in a way to be able to direct the department on what to do moving forward. So would you be more comfortable if we continue this discussion in 2 weeks at our next meeting to have the decision, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, I guess there was 12 votes, and so I assume that Ms. Pearson, you didn't vote on, or 12 tabulations.
You would be correct.
All right.
For that very reason.
All right. Well, I guess it's your committee, Ms. Bennett and Ms. Chavez.
It was the hope of our committee and all of the representation from our administration to have a decision today, just because the information was presented to us at the beginning of last month, so we've in theory had like about 6 weeks to be able to review the information. So, I mean, at this time, we have 2 that have more of a majority, but I don't know. I don't know what would be best on. I want to make sure that your voice is heard and you have time to prepare, but I also know that there has been a lot of time, and we really want to make sure that we're choosing something, school is starting, and we can really hit the ground running, so.
I was going to say, if it helps, I can speak a little bit to the data that Dr. Gallagher spoke about with the Safe and Civil Schools, that it was my department that tracked those 3 schools' implementation, and we have overwhelming analysis that those 3 schools in all of the metrics are doing better than they were in the years prior. And that is part of the decision for why the secondary schools decided to start implementing it. All of our middle school and high schools are now starting this, and it's partly because of that data and that metrics that we have on Lewis Lemon, Constance Lane, and McIntosh, that all 3 of those schools have shown an improvement in all of their bags, their behavior, attendance, grades, social, emotional, and their teacher attendance as well has improved at all 3 of those schools comparatively to their historical data. So that was part of why the expansion into the secondary schools is because we have that historical data at those 3 schools. So this would be kind of an expansion to see even more why is it working at some of these schools and how can we replicate that.
Okay. So first off, I understand that it's been 6 weeks. I clearly understand that, but let me make myself abundantly clear about something. So time does not equate to information. Okay, so, and yes, it's on the committee of the whole, and we're having a discussion, but many things can happen during the process of time that will raise questions. So to have an expectation that someone just kind of decide what the focus is. So is a bit much when there's missing information as we have, as we discuss items more. But A and D would be something that I would choose tonight. That is not to say that going forward I won't have questions or because things change along the way. It's the best way that I can explain that. So A and D would be my, what I would support.
Can you tell me which A or D did you previously turn your light on for? Or you didn't do either? Oh, okay. All right. No problem. So item A and item E have the most amount of tabulations with 4 and 4. So it would be the discussion of the board and the tabulations of the board to move forward with those. Does anybody have a comment, anything to add? And besides that? No. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay, now we're going to go through our consent items, and we will be as brief as we can for those. As in previous times, we have asked for them to be provided into buckets to make it easier for review and discussion. So if you're looking at your agenda, 7A through E are all recurring consent items. And then we're going to kind of go just by category. So if there's something you have a question on, feel free to turn your light on, please. Okay, so the first bucket is Ed Services. So item G falls into early childhood. So infant early childhood mental health consultant. This is a recurring contract with the same service provider and is required by grants. Items H and I are in college and career, running start MOU and dual credit MOU. Item F, M, and N fall in MTSS. So we have Renaissance PD, professional learning for STAR testing, Wayfinder renewal, K through 12, social and emotional curriculum, and then N, tier 2, tier 3 literacy intervention resources. Lastly, in Ed Services is curriculum. Item Q, iReady Math Diagnostic Assessment allows for personalized online learning. Does anybody have any questions about item G, H, I, F, M, N, or Q? Okay, moving on. Next bucket is student services. For alternative learning, we have items J, amendment to IGA for Boone Winnebago Regional Alternative School. ROE agreement is to remove the existing RSSP board and replace the operating decision making back in the hands of the ROE. Item P, subject.com, digital student licenses. Online learning platform, which will support the RRR classrooms and students at JDC. Special education, item K and O. Item K, sign language interpreter. Item O, Institute for Multisensory Education, structured literacy training to meet the needs of students who have dyslexia and or show signs and symptoms of dyslexia. Does anybody have any questions about item J, P, K, or O? No. One thing to make mention, sometime last year, we had multiple students and families who came to talk to us about dyslexia and screening and resources and supports. And so I was really excited that instantly a task force was created, and we really put lots of supports and services in for that specific population. So, lastly, schools team, item L, IPA principal mentorship, recurring mentorship as stipulation of NIU principal pipeline. Does anybody have questions about item L? Nope. Okay, that concludes our portion of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McCall will now lead planning and development.
Thank you. Tonight, we will start with item A, fiscal year 26 final budget and resolution to approve the 2025-2026 budget. I will now turn the floor over to Dr. Brown, Chief Financial Officer, to provide an update for the fiscal year 26 budget.
So this is going to be very simple because it looks exactly the same as the tentative budget you looked at last month. So there is one difference that we're going to have to make between tonight's meeting and when you approve the final budget is the Illinois State Board of Education has actually released the evidence-based funding calculations. They just released those over the weekend, and so we do have to update that number in the final budget. The good news is that number is going to be higher than what we were expecting it to be. We remained in Tier 1, and a couple of the other large districts actually went into Tier 2, and so we're actually going to receive more money than we were planning. So we'll have a quick write-up on that. I'll push something out in the superintendent update so you have a heads up on it, before it actually comes to the board meeting. But that's really the only update. We're actually going to get more on evidence-based funding than we thought. So that's the only update we have. It's a positive one, not a negative one. So unless you have any questions, I won't go through the presentation again.
Are there any questions? Mrs. Pearson?
So will we be passing a balanced budget?
No, we will not.
Okay, so there is, needless to say, that's concerning. And did we look at so I was previously concerned, and I had this conversation with the superintendent in regards to the master's facility plan. And if you all remember when we were voting on the quad, then the career center, I felt like things was moving really fast, and we just started approving like at record numbers, and I asked that we pump the brakes and look at things. So I think, and we have already discovered that if we could have done some things differently. So have we looked at what we could at each school, and where it relates to the master's facility plan, where certain schools were mentioned, what we could actually carve out that would save us from passing an unbalanced budget?
So, we can obviously look at that. That does not affect the operating budget. That is on the capital side. So, we have a deficit on the operating side, and changing things in the facility master plan or delaying those wouldn't impact how ISB views the deficit budget situation, because they're looking at it from the ed fund, the operating fund, the transportation fund, and the IMRF fund. They're not looking at it in some of the other funds. They look at our core operations to see whether we're running a deficit in those areas, and those are areas where we actually are running a deficit.
Okay, so there's nothing we can do about that? What?
Not at this point. There's not anything we can do other than just really manage the heck out of the budget throughout the year, and pull back on spending if we absolutely don't need to do it. That's what we've done in the past. That's what we'll continue to do, in this current year. We have identified some things that we might be able to push into next year that will get us to a balanced budget. But, we had a lot of uncertainty going into this year with the federal funding and all those types of things. And we did make a conscious decision, unlike some of the other school districts like CPS and some of the other ones that just made wholesale cuts to staff, cut teachers, cut all kinds of things that are going to impact their instructional, delivery in their classrooms. And we chose not to do that. And I think that was the right move. I think, this is going to be a challenging year for us to manage our expenses. I think we can do that well. And then I think, through the processes that we're going to work through this year with, the PRISM initiative identification and a lot of other things, that we will be able to get to a balanced budget for next year. But I do feel that, the budget that we're recommending made the right decision to go ahead and move forward without just gutting instructional programs just to say that we had a balanced budget. Do I like that we don't have one? No. Would I consistently recommend that we approve deficit budgets? Absolutely not. But given all the financial uncertainty that we've had, going through this spring and really into early summer, I think that this is the right budget for the board to pass.
Okay, so just to be clear, the main issue is the operations.
Correct.
Okay.
It's the operational side of the house.
Okay. Thank you. I'll email you with any additional questions.
You bet.
So the slides.
I'm sorry, Ms. Stanford.
The slides with the actual numbers are kind of hard to read. So is it $9 million deficit? Is that what that's saying on here?
Yeah, it's really a combination of a couple of things. And I know that those numbers are small and hard to read.
Yeah, it's really small.
I'm going to pull them up real
I
quick.
have my glasses on even.
Yeah, I don't have my glasses on.
It won't let me make it bigger.
I'll get to it here. Hang on one second. I don't want to give you the wrong numbers. So on the operating funds, yes, overall in the operating funds, you'll see 9.22 million. That's correct.
What I thought it said.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can see where the big one's at. The big one's obviously in the ed fund. Where we're showing about a $13 million deficit.
Right. But you're pretty confident that throughout the school year we'll
Yeah.
be able to.
And a chunk of that's the healthcare fund that, we're just projecting based on last year's claims experience. We know that we made some adjustments to that plan and hope to see some significant savings on that too. So, but given the best information we had at the time, and, you'll see this number is going to improve quite a bit when we plug in the evidence-based funding numbers too.
Okay.
So.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Brown. The public hearing for the FY26 budget will be held at the August 19th board meeting. The resolution to approve the FY26 final budget will be brought forward for a vote on the August 19th, 2025 board meeting. We'll move on to item B, grant from the Project Lead the Way. Project Lead the Way is a national nonprofit organization that provides pre-K through 12 students with hands-on project-based STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math curriculum. We currently use PLTW curriculum at Haskell and West STEAMS Academy, Marshall Middle School, and in our high schools, engineering and biomedical pathways. Project Lead the Way is providing a $10,000 grant to support the cost of the biomedical pathway. The CCR department will manage this grant and will allocate $2,200 to pay for the program fees, and the balance of $7,800 will pay for required supplies. CCR typically budgets $14,000 for this pathway, so this grant will offset those costs considerably. Are there any questions for the grant from Project Lead the Way? Okay, seeing none, we will continue to item C, Cal Ripken Prize Acceptance. A team of 5 6th grade students from Marshall Middle School were named the Cal Ripken Senior 2024-2025 STEM Challenge National Winners. The national award comes with a cash prize of $5,000. At the direction of Dr. Brown, CFO, we are submitting this executive summary so the prize amount can be received by the district and deposited for the use at Marshall Middle School to further support Project Lead the Way STEM program. Are there any questions regarding the Cal Ripken Prize acceptance? Seeing none, we will continue to item D, which is the Sunbolt Campus XL Solar Table donations. Sunbolt Campus XL Solar Tables provide a power source to individuals desiring an electrical source while working outside at the table station. Due to the robust partnerships our Project Lead the Way STEM program has with ComEd and ComEd's commitment to furthering educational initiatives, project manager and senior business manager, program manager, Chris Khalid, is investing in the Marshall campus and funding the purchase and installation of one solar table with a goal of expanding the project to other RPS schools in the future. Are there any questions on the Sunbolt Campus XL solar table donation? Seeing none, we will continue to item E. Dr. Oates in the 205 Direct Dental Service. I will now turn the floor over to Michael Phillips, Chief Operation Officer, and Dr. Thunberg, presenting the 205 Direct Dental Services to provide an update on the funding and discussion on dental equipment. Okay.
Good evening. Tonight I have Dr. Thunberg representing 205 Direct Dental Services and Mr. Dwayne Collins representing DAC Consulting, who is working with 205 Direct Dental Services. The non-for-profit 205 DDS, represented by Dr. Thunberg tonight, anticipates receiving $300,000 in designated funding from the Rebuild Illinois Infrastructure Program later this year. This is through Senator Stottleman. The money is to be used to purchase the necessary equipment to outfit 6 operatories in the Quad Dental Clinic. The board is being asked to consider options to support securing the necessary equipment ahead of the receipt of the anticipated funds. Understanding that at some point the facility is intended to be used as a district's educational program for dental assistants, there are some options for 205 DDS and the board to consider. One option is for the board, one option for the board to consider would be for the district to assist by purchasing the equipment and leasing it to 205 DDS for its use. Maintenance and insurance of the equipment would be addressed within the lease itself. I'd also like to ask Attorney Goldsmith as far as explaining a possible resolution of solutions too.
Okay, the board does not have explicit statutory authority to loan money, but pursuant to different provisions of the school code, there are some potential remedies or potential options for the board to consider. So under the initial agreement to provide dental services for RPS students, there's a provision in that agreement that indicates that the contractor, 205 DDS, is responsible for providing equipment, et cetera. And to the extent that the district is required to pay for any of those expenses, there's a 30-day requirement to repay. So that's one option to consider. Another option would be for the district, because this is something that is tied to needs for students and potential use for academic programming, the district could purchase the equipment and then enter into somewhat like a lease agreement with 205 DDS where they would lease the equipment, potentially with an option for buyback, or that would make the most sense because our agreement with 205 DDS for the space is a 3-year agreement with 2 one-year options at this time. So those are the kinds of things that just are easy options to think of. I don't know if 205 DDS also had options for the district to consider, but.
I invited Dr. Thunberg and Mr. Collins here tonight. Dr. Thunberg will share, and I passed out what our startup cost or what their startup cost would look like. And I also asked them to share funding that they've procured already from a private and a public partnership. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Thunberg.
Thank you for this opportunity. Just so you understand,
this request would be to expedite the beginning of this clinic. Currently, you have 6,200 public aid students that require dental treatment right at this moment, fillings, extractions, et cetera. So my job is, people say, what do you do as vice chairman? I said, I'm the governor on the Cyrus Oates engine. Because if Dr. Oates had his way, we would have started this this summer probably. But so the rationale of a possible lease with the buyback of the equipment is then we could probably have this clinic open the middle of October. Otherwise, the $300,000 state grant is guaranteed, but according to Senator Stadelman, it could be December, could be January, could be February. I'm going to have Mr. Collins explain a few other grants that are coming in. So just so you know, financially, the funding is there. And so if we did enter into an agreement, Mr. Collins and I have not had a chance to really discuss it with Dr. Oates and our board, but we would certainly want to examine the lease with the option to purchase, and that purchase would be as soon as that grant came in. We do have the funding to make the major equipment order now. Dwayne will explain, we just received a grant from the city for $150,000. And that, with what we have in our account, would allow us to purchase the initial major equipment for the operatories, which is $218,000. And we'll have funding for the staffing also. Just so you know what kind of burdens 205 DDS is under, Illinois currently ranks 49th out of 50 in the nation for dental Medicaid reimbursement, and the need in this district is immense. And just so you understand why isn't it being taken care of in private practices? The average no-show rate for public aid patients in the state is 47%. This program is, as far as I know, the most unique program in terms of collaboration there is in the country. You are going to be bringing those students directly to the clinic. They will be there for half a day. That means they're in school. And I understand you're funded by butts in the chair. They're going to be in your chairs. They're not going to spend an entire day. They are going to receive top of the line treatment. The dentists we have that are looking at now have experience in the public aid section. Dr. Oates is committed to a day a week. So that's just an update after Mr. Collins gives you where we're at financially, if you have any other questions for us. But I really want to give a shout out to Mike Phillips and Lanisha. There are very few government entities that run as smoothly as we'd like. And I'll tell you, working with these two individuals has been a pleasure. And I take your calls because I have caller ID. So I'm going to bring Mr. Collins up. Dwayne is going to give you a financial update, and then we'll answer any questions.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks, Perry. My consulting firm has been working with 205 DDS since about the second week in January. And since then, we've been able to secure a little over $750,000 in funding commitments. So in the grant world, having a commitment and having actual access to the funds is two different things. So typically it takes time for grant agreements to be assembled, for money to be dispersed. So that's the need, that's where the need comes in for us to enter into this agreement so that we can actually move forward, get the equipment purchased or ordered, get that that thing in place, and so that we can get up and running as quickly as possible. Like I said, we've been able to secure these funds via private donations, via local grants, via state grants, via federal grants, and even private foundation funding. But again, in the grant world, being able to secure the funds and having access to it is two different things. So we're going to have, slowly but surely, we're going to have access to all of this money, and I anticipate that we should be able to secure another $250,000 before the end of the year. So we'll be right on pace with securing what we had initially had as a goal, which is about $1 million to get this thing up and running. So if there's any questions for myself and for Perry, we'll be happy to answer any of those right now.
Do we have any questions, Mr. Carpenter?
Just to clarify, the issue would be that the district, or the suggestion is the district would buy the equipment, lease it back for some nominal
Period of
amount.
time, yeah.
Well, and a
Short
period of time,
yeah.
you know, that would, not to go past next June 30th, for instance, whenever.
Oh, no. We're looking at roughly 6 to 12 months at the worst case scenario, but there's a possibility that funding can come in quicker than that, and we can actually take care of that within a month or two.
And it would be, the lease would end when you got the money from the state, from Senator Stadelman's initiative. Is that correct?
Well, that's just one. You know, $300,000 has been committed from that particular grant. There's another $150,000 that we secured from the city of Rockford. We have $250,000 secured through a congressional spending program that was made available by Senator Durbin. There's a number of different pots of money that we're just waiting to get access to, that we've already been told that we've been awarded.
Okay. So I guess, like, we're pretty sure that, or you said guaranteed, that the Stadelman initiative will come this fiscal year, state fiscal year. Is that accurate?
That's very accurate, yes.
Okay. And I mean, is that what the basis of this request is?
Well, that's just the first particular large grant that we've actually received written notice of.
Okay.
We anticipate that we'll probably have access to $150,000 from the city of Rockford by maybe the middle of October at the latest, you know, because of the grant agreement that we have in place says that the funds will be secured after council approval, which we anticipate receiving in a week from Monday night. And they have 60 days to disperse the funds. It doesn't always take 60 days, but we want to err on that longer side.
Okay, so this is, so the.
Specific. Mr. Carpenter, I think one of the specifics on the Rebuild Illinois, that it would be used for capital, which would be the equipment. That's why the 300,000. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay, I understand. Thanks.
I just want to emphasize again, as Dwayne has said, the funding is there. The purpose of a lease with option to buy would be to expedite the delivery of care to the children here in 205, which could, mean anywhere from 2 to 5 months sooner. And one other thing I forgot to mention, Ronnie knows all this too as your nurse. The number 2 reason for absenteeism in school right now is dental problems. Number 1 is asthma, respiratory illnesses, colds, things like that. But number 2 is dental. And it's not just dental pain. We all know that. And what kid is going to learn sitting with a head pounding and a face swelling. But also the other important area, and I worked with the American Dental Association on this in access to care, is the psychosocial aspect of dental. Kids don't want to go to school and get teased because all their front teeth are rotting. They don't want to smile and they talk like this because their hands are up. I want you to know we're going to be delivering crowns. We're going to be delivering flippers, dentures, things like that, so kids can smile again too. So we'll be handling both the pain and the psychosocial aspects. And so we really appreciate your time today.
Ms. Haley?
So if we are considering, or if we consider we purchase, lease it out, and then sell it back, would we be selling, I assume this is new equipment that they're purchasing?
Correct. That's correct, Ms. Haley. It is new equipment.
If we sold it back, will we be selling it back at a depreciated cost?
That would be something that, well, Greg is saying no. Dr. Brown is saying no.
Okay. Ooh, Lord. Okay, thank you. So we just get what okay, gotcha.
Any other questions?
I just want to thank you so much for staying and presenting tonight so late. I know you've been here all night.
I do
appreciate our time.
I have a clarifying question for the purpose of drafting the resolution. I imagine the board wants it drafted broadly so that as we contemplate what the options may look like, we could exercise the options, which may include, like the contract with DDS already allows, that if the district ended up having to purchase equipment, we could invoice them and demand payment within 30 days of invoice. That is one option that's already present under the agreement with 205 DDS. And this other option would be to enter into an entirely new agreement with district purchasing and then leasing back with the potential buyback. So the question is, as we consider drafting this resolution with this broad authority to exercise the option and draft the appropriate agreements, what is the dollar amount that we're talking? Because I did hear that the Stottleman letter indicated a certain amount of funding would be coming, but I also heard comments about additional funding that had been received. So I want clarity on what the number is that the board is authorizing.
Okay, Ms. Pearson.
Is it are we referring to the 300,000 from Stottleman? Isn't that what the letter said?
So in the executive summary, we listed a maximum of $300,000. It may not actually be $300,000 needed, but that would be something we would be working with 205 DDS. So the request would be a maximum amount of $300,000.
And what Dr. Thunberg, mentioned that they secured $150,000 from the city of Rockford that could come within the next 60 days. That would create them not needing the entire $300,000 and maybe a portion of that, which could be $150,000. So the maximum is $300,000. What they were just talking when they were saying the other amounts, they were just disclosing some additional awards that they were received for the entire project.
Yeah, correct. There's a very good possibility, and my hope, obviously, is that we'd not need anywhere near the 300. That was the maximum that was placed on as guaranteed by Senator Stottleman. Our initial large expenditure, obviously, is the $218,000 for the equipment, not just, chairs and everything you see when you love going into the dentist. But other costs, initial startup is about $330,000 to $340,000. A lot of that payment is not due till October. By then, we'd have the other funding in place too. So, yeah, the request would be not to exceed $300,000 and hopefully significantly less.
Ms. Bennett, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say, express my appreciation for your partnership. I have worked with youth in the community, and I've physically transported children to to Springfield, to lots of different places all across the state of Illinois. And so I just really appreciate that we as a district get to have your partnership. And so I just want to say thank you. So that's all. No questions.
Any other comments? Any other comments? President Carpenter.
To try to answer Attorney Goldsmith's question, I thought that the second option, where it's a separate agreement on this, makes more sense, and up to a maximum of $300,000. Right?
I'm in support of that as well.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We will now move on to the preview of consent items. Below is the consent agenda item for the Planning and Development Committees. Item A, resolution authorizing and directing the preparation of a tentative 2026-2027 budget. Item B, recurring contract with Larson Darby Group for design services at Carson Elementary School. Item C, recurring contract with Bellis Firm of Architecture for design and services at Fairview Early Childhood Center. Item D, recurring contract with Hagney Architects for design services at STEAM Academy at Haskell. Item E, recurring contract with Bellis Firm of Architect for design services at Kennedy Middle School. Item F, recurring contract with the Alleman Ernest Martin Architects for design services at two-way language immersion at Barber. Item G, recurring contract with the Alleman Ernest Architects for design services at West Middle School. Item H, recurring contract with Richard L. Johnson Architects for design services at McIntosh Elementary School. Item I, recurring contract with Hagney Architects for design services at Roosevelt Community Education Center. J, Daffit. Item K, RFP 26-03, CCE marketing campaign. Item L, IFB number 26-04, gasoline. Item M, IFB number 26-05, new school buses. That completes the report for the Planning and Development Committee. Thank you.
Was there an item N?
Sorry, there was an item,
sorry.
and it didn't miss the agenda. It was T-Mobile Friday Night Lights. I believe this is a grant. Dr. Brown, can you speak on that one?
Yeah, this is something that T-Mobile is working on with high schools across the nation. And so if we would have the opportunity to participate in that, which the high schools would like to do, they have an opportunity to win $5,000, which pushes us obviously over the threshold. And one school across the nation actually has an opportunity to win $25,000. And it's really just done to build community spirit and school spirit in the schools, and everybody rally around Friday Night Lights. So,
thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McCall. There are no public speakers, and therefore we're at the end of the meeting. So may I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you all.